another episode of Roses Are Red podcast with your host, Mrs. Red Rose, her co-host, Sam I Am from the Married Couple Podcast, and AC from Midnight Media.
Welcome in, everyone. Welcome in. Another beautiful Friday. Amazing
Yes.
Friday. A freezing one. I've missed everyone, everybody. I hope everybody's had a wonderful past 3 weeks. I know we've been a little silent and quiet, but we've had so much going on. Crazy, but sometimes life kind of takes a little bit over than we expect it to. So I apologize to everybody that we were MIA for a couple Fridays, but we're back.
We
I
are.
heard,
I've
I
missed
heard
your
the wailing and the
faces.
crying. I heard people wailing and crying, gnashing of their teeth.
Right.
We weren't on. They were like, I got a couple calls like, what the fuck? So
My sister actually texted me a couple times, like, are you not on? I'm like, no, not tonight. So yeah, it's been, people have missed us, I'm sure.
I'm sure. At least, it's nice when somebody reaches out and they're like, wait, this is a part of my life.
Right, exactly.
Watching you guys eat shit is part of my life.
Well, and Dave and I have recently come back too on Wednesdays, and
Yep.
yeah, so I mean, it's been crazy. So
Yeah. New job, new everything, new just podcasting was like a number one for me for a long time. And it has to take a little bit of a backseat, just not completely. It's under the trunk. It's just in the backseat.
Right.
I just have to rectify my life. Erection.
Pop cherries.
Tonight, everyone, welcome to the Roses Are Red podcast. Tonight we have. You know what, Rose? What do we have tonight? What's the gentleman's name?
Timu.
I mean, technically, if we shorten it,
There is a T and an E and an M and a
And a
U.
U.
Sure. Well,
if we give him a nickname,
Timu.
which we're so good at doing.
Welcome to the Roses Are Red podcast.
Shop like a billionaire. Shop like a billionaire.
Oh
We
gosh.
typically, ladies, we don't talk about people who are innocent a lot. We talk about people who are fucking, we lower the
Scum of the
hammer
earth,
judgment, Rose wants to kill most people. She just wants to fry them.
Vigilante justice for Rose.
Yeah, she wants to be Batman. She's like, I wish Batman was real.
Right? I just want to take them out back and just, one by one, we'll start stripping the nails off. And, little by little.
You're a sick torturer, and you belong in Guantanamo Bay as the main torturer. Get those.
Just cut the ear off and, maybe a hole here and there.
What else would you do?
No, I mean, maybe just, stick a, one of those metal things little by little in the eye, just slow.
Like a hot poker or like a metal thing?
Yeah, like a hot, one of those like a pen, when it's hot, and then you just go little by little.
A pen.
It's like everybody knows.
Everybody lights up pens all day. If you happen to have that throughout your day, you just stick it in the guy's eye so he can learn his lesson.
Yes, I mean, go up his
I bet he won't run any more red lights now.
Go up the nostril, break the nose a little bit, slowly.
Too far up, you will kill him. He goes right to the brain.
Waterboarding, like waterboarding.
Oh, where you stick them in the water and dip their heads in it.
Would you do that?
Or where you put like the
a
cloth over their face and then you just dump the water on top of them, or I don't know, gasoline or something. Just saying.
Okay, but
I think she's fine with it.
I think she's saying gasoline boarding, honestly, which is even crazier.
Yeah.
So waterboarding is when you put somebody like a towel over their face and slowly like pour the pitcher of water.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You know what? If they deserve it.
But who's right?
Under my eyes of justice, if they deserve it, I'm giving it to you.
Who deserves it and why? Now we have the justice system. Exactly. Right.
My justice system, you know what? They would all suffer.
Who's they?
All the criminals.
Them.
Yes, all the criminals.
Them.
The ones that know they've done wrong, but they think they haven't, A lot of these stories that we've done, a lot of them, I think, that are walking out free, and the ones that are innocent are locked up for no reason, and this is part of our story tonight, where we have a gentleman that's wrongfully locked up for no reason. I mean, there's a reason, but he didn't do it.
I mean, they could making a sign reason. Obviously, they did. They just,
Yeah. This is an insane story, and I can't wait to get to it. AC was like, "Oh my gosh, you guys need to see this." He brought it to our attention. So, do you want to kind of give us an introduction to it, AC?
Yeah, I
Yes,
saw it
let us
on
know about Timu. Let us know about Timu. And
Timu. So this is the gentleman's name, Timu. It's not. It's not. It's Rose's name for him. And this is a story from back in 1986. It's in Michigan, and it's his name is Temujin Kensu, right? Which kind of has a Japanese kind of a tinge to it, right? And it's kind of an odd name, and that's why I couldn't wait for Rose to hear it. So then, I sent her the story, and I was like, can't wait for her to assign something, to him, and it ended up being Timu.
That works.
it works well. I mean, I'm going to be honest that it was a little bit hard for me to understand what was going on. The way that podcast that was interviewed, it was a little bit hard for me to understand and grasp a little bit. So that's where I'm like, okay, Timu.
Well, I mean, the way they said the names, you couldn't understand them. Is that what
no. The story, how it was presented.
So it has nothing to do with Timu.
No.
Okay. Right. So this man was wrongly convicted, and he's been in prison since 1986. It was a swift arm of justice came and picked him up, and apparently he was 450 miles away from where the incident had happened.
More like 500 based 500? On, well, okay. So one of the things of contention now is that if you look it up on Google Maps, it is about 450, maybe 400. But back in 86, when this supposedly happened, or when the actual thing happened, where he's wrongly accused, to get to from where he is at to where the actual murder happened would have taken it about 10 hours to drive.
Right. In 1986.
Yeah, nine and a half if it's a police officer speeding to a call. Right. And the infrastructure as far as the roads and highways was not the same. I mean, they've built many highways and interstates going from, point A to point B now. But back then, for one, speed limit was 55.
59.
Yeah, exactly. Now it's 80. And I mean, just that alone cuts, probably an hour off your time if you're going to drive it. Absolutely. But yeah, they said
so 450. So 450 to 500. 500,
yeah, right around. Yeah.
Got it. So continue to preface this for people in radio land that don't know anything about it. So
why does he look like he's gonna like Rocky Balboa and he's just gonna go fight?
He was into martial arts.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is what you did in the 80s. If you liked the martial
and rock and roll too.
Yeah, and then Bloodsport just came out, so he was like totally probably into it, right? So he lived 34 years behind the walls of a Michigan prison. In 1987, he was convicted for the murder of a college student in Port Huron and sentenced to life without parole. For 34 years, he insisted that anybody would listen. He was innocent. So he stayed innocent. He's always contested this. So he's way too far away from that place. He didn't do it.
And it's like 38 years now because this was put out in 2021.
Exactly.
So
almost 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
My God.
Being
like since I was 8 years old. Yeah,
right.
Can you imagine being locked up 40 years?
I cannot.
And know that you didn't do you as a person know I didn't do it, but everybody around you saying, yes, you did. It's
my absolute nightmare for that to happen. My absolute nightmare. It's the worst thing that can possibly happen. I dread it. It's something that I dread every day. So for 34 years, he's insisted to anyone who would listen that he was innocent. And there was no physical evidence connecting Kensu to the murder, and multiple witnesses placed him more than 400 miles away, 500 miles if you listen to Sam, which you should. But he may spend the rest of his life behind bars, thanks in part to the theory presented by the prosecutor trial that Kensu, who practiced martial arts, was a cunning ninja who was able to hire a plane and fly him from the end of the state to the other, shoot the victim, and return back without leaving a trace.
It is laughable. I'm so sorry.
Some of the things we're going to hit on tonight are, how can this be a thing?
I can't even get to my kid's school in an hour and a half. How does this guy do it with it? You know what I mean?
Right. can't get to
in Michigan when there's feet of snow on the ground.
right
For one,
Yeah,
yes.
he's a ninja. He's a cunning ninja. Look at him.
This guy, like, he had wings. He flew. Yeah,
He had Red Bull that day.
right.
He sure did. And
Yep.
it says that over the years, this is NBC News, over the years, attorneys, journalists, independent investigators have challenged the theory that raised by the critical questions about Kensu's conviction. High-profile supporters, including retired U.S. Senator Carl Levin, have pushed for his release. Since the conviction, a jailhouse snitch recanted his testimony that Kensu had confessed, and a federal judge overturned the sentence after finding in part that his lawyer provided ineffective counsel by never calling a crucial alibi witness. So the guy, I mean, we're going to learn more about the lawyer.
Oh boy, are we.
Oh boy.
And the arresting officer,
Yeah.
all the things. I mean.
Yeah. And it's a heck of a, it makes you lose hope that we live in a society where people can discern what's right and wrong. And then people can, so one theory, let's jump ahead just to, and then we'll get into the story, and Sam, you can take over. But the main thing is, this can be done if people want you to be behind bars. They will put you behind bars.
Absolutely.
If you, for any reason, fit a bill where they can quickly make a conviction to stick to a high-profile, let's say it's a high-profile murder, and you happen to be, I mean, clearly over 500 miles away. I'm getting a butt dial.
That's fine.
So if you're clearly 500 miles away, right, they can pin you to this murder if they want to, and they can say some bullshit to pin you to it, and it'll stick for over 40 years. And the judge, the prosecutor, the defendant, the defense attorney, everyone can be in on it, just to make sure that this high-profile person that lost his life, there's closure to that case, right? So it's much better to put someone who's not known and not necessarily a pillar of the community to put him away. It's better that he's there, and then it's solved. People feel better because
they sleep better at night knowing
Exactly.
somebody is paying the price for whatever murder happened.
Because that person doesn't matter, right?
Right.
Exactly. So
Well, I think people just want to make sure that, they think that someone's locked up, that someone's paying for the price of somebody or
right.
some,
And they don't care what that price is,
No.
or if that person is actually the person.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the problem. And the inherent problem is like, well, we got to put somebody there and hurry up.
Mhm.
And this guy doesn't. He's not exactly like. He looks like fucking.
He looks like he could have been in Metallica. Let's be real. I mean,
Sure.
he's definitely got that. I mean, it's still, growing his hair out and whatever. He, has that, but he doesn't, I mean, to me, he doesn't overtly look like he would be a murderer. His eyes aren't, I'll tell you what, looking at his picture, I don't see anything behind the eyes that would, like all the other people that we're like, oh, the fucking eyes tell us. This guy looks like a really kind dude. Now,
I mean, yeah. What about you, Rose? Anything in the eyes that you see? You guys are eye people.
Look, if I were just not knowing the story, and if I were just to see this picture,
Yeah.
right? I would be questionable. I would be questionable for me. Just not knowing anything. Just
What's
having
questionable?
someone saying
His look,
his face.
his face.
The way his face is looking like
What's it
yeah,
looking
you know
like?
what? I got this in the bag and I'm gonna be free. Kind of, look like it's just questionable.
You don't
But
like the way he looks.
it's not that I don't like the way he looks. It's a questionable. If you don't know anything, if you're just going off of basically his look,
Yeah.
this could be questionable. This could be maybe he could have.
Don't say questionable
not
again. Please don't say questionable again.
Okay, I'll just say pop cherry. That's fine.
Okay.
he looks sus to you. He looks suspect to you.
He's
He
sussy?
looks a little sus. Yeah, he looks a little sus.
Sussy.
But not knowing the story. But once if you get into the story,
What if
someone just
What if he had his hair in a bun, and he was wearing normal clothes and jeans, and he wasn't looking like I don't know, an ex-rocker from from the early '90s. He would look like a normal guy walking down the street in California, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, with all the crap that we've gone through, nothing ever surprises me with anybody anymore.
Oh, gotcha.
We
And there was a
appreciate
time where where everything surprised you, and now nothing surprises you.
it.
I hearken back to that time,
I mean, yeah, you guys
of course.
have broken that from me. So
Such a, there was some time earlier and the before time that was better than today, and we harken back to that, right?
We
Because
do.
now we just don't know about nothing, right?
Everybody's
So
us.
come on, everybody's fucking sus, and everybody's fucking broke and scared. So it's just so weird, man. Do you want to do the meat of it?
Yeah, I mean, we can kind of start it. Let's kind of get into it. Kind of backstory on Temujin. His original name is Fred Freeman. Fred Freeman.
Fred Freeman.
And back, I mean, I don't think he ever went by his actual name. People called him Mickey all the time, or like close friends did. He had kind of a rough upbringing. His parents were pretty shitty to him. He was in and out of foster care. He was very smart though. They wanted him to go into a gifted program when he was younger. His mom wouldn't let him. So in school, what he would do, his teachers, because they couldn't keep up with his smarts, they would give him a book to read while they were teaching the other kids, the stuff he already knew, and say, give us a book report. They were trying to, keep him interested, but it also kind of made him feel a little ostracized. He wasn't, but in his own words, he said he was never labeled the nerd because he'd always been into like martial arts. That was kind of his escape. So he was, by his own proclamation, the anti-bully, where he was really good friends with most of the nerds that would get picked on, and he would beat up all the bullies. So, because they were wrong, partly because he was treated so poorly by his own family. His grandparents were great, but they couldn't save him from everything. And even in like his foster care situations, if the bio kids were picking on the foster kids, he'd beat up the bio kid, and he never really got in trouble, but they would move him to another home, so he had kind of a tumultuous upbringing. He went off to the army. He could have, because of his ASVAB scores, they wanted him to go into like the Navy rather than the Army, because they wanted him to work on the nuclear subs, because he was so smart. But because there was more money in the Army, he went there. He was young. He even said it, but it wasn't for him. So after that, he embraced his music and had been in a few bands, lived in Washington State, Oklahoma, had some friends in Tennessee, but ultimately moved back to Michigan, where this all takes place. He had a kind of a high school sweetheart. He was older than. Her name is Michelle. She is the mother of his son. They still talk to this day, which is kind of cool. However, he by his own admission was a womanizer. So
That's
even though they were
Timu.
together, they
Timu.
were. Even though,
let's see if anybody's in jail here. How much is prison, Timu?
Even though they were living
199.
together and she was pregnant with his son,
Nice.
he was still stepping out and having relationships with other women. Even introduced the other women to her.
Well, he's polite.
Maybe they had that relationship, to each their own. I was just like, fuck, she stuck around. She's still talking to this motherfucker.
Yeah.
That's the only, I was like, right. I don't like that about him, but he seems like a pretty stand-up guy. He did fight for the little guy a lot. Yeah. So they were, had moved to a town, and he met this woman named Crystal. And
Crystal Metheny.
Yeah, Crystal Merrill. And they met at a Blockbuster. He and Michelle, his his son's mother, had gone in to rent some videos. Well, he thought this Crystal chick was hot after they had gone home and watched some videos. Okay. He went back after she went to bed to chat up Crystal, and they went on a date. Nice. He brought her back to meet Michelle. Everything seemed okay. And then Crystal, as he said, was fucking crazy. He was like, I'm over this. He kind of ghosted her. She ended up coming to their home. So because of her being so fucking crazy, by his own admission, they moved. They moved.
He's so fucking crazy.
Well, he says it all the time.
I know.
But because of that, he and Michelle and his other buddy, they were all living in the same home together. They move up from kind of southern Michigan all the way up to almost the Canada border.
Canadian.
And yes, I almost said it that way. And this is kind of, and so they were kind of new to this area. He had, joined a martial arts center because that's what he liked to do.
Do you know what kind of martial arts he did?
I don't remember.
I'll look it up.
Okay. So kind of this is what happens after all that. She moves on, whatever. And on November 5th of 1986, Scott Macklem was shot and murdered in a parking lot in his at college.
It was Tenzu. I'm just gonna
right.
Let's just give it to him. I mean,
right. So, Temujin was nowhere to be found at this point. Actually, when asked by the cops, because plot twist, he was Crystal's fiance, the guy who was murdered. So and Scott was the son of a mayor from a neighboring town.
Oh,
so they really wanted to get this. They had to find a guy or something.
Now there's impetus to make sure this is closed quickly because the person who's the victim holds weight in the area, right?
Right.
So that's what really matters. Sometimes when people are wrongly convicted, we were just talking about this before we went on. People are wrongly convicted because it needs to happen. Something needs to. Like important people can't just wait for no justice. We're the ones that the paupers are the ones that feel injustice, not people that are mildly celebrity. And
exactly.
Like who's that guy to get more justice than any other American? You know what I mean? And is this justice? Is it inherently? I ask the audience, like, let's say someone was murdered that you love, and they wrongfully convict, and for a fact that it's not the person that they put in there. Would that give you justice or peace? Would that do anything for you?
No.
Well, for some people it does. For some people it does give them justice and peace. For some people they feel
anybody
some people do
when it's so grossly negligent, and we'll get into that. But when it's so grossly wrong, I mean, there's no way this could happen.
Wait, guys. We don't say this. We don't say this often, but hold the fuck up.
Yes, your jaw is going to drop. Actually,
we just had three podcasts with a CO, with a correctional officer that had an affair with a prisoner, and this one we're saying, hold up,
exactly.
Hold on, get on the side of your seat. Just wait.
Exactly. So, I mean, initially, when the police went to the family and to his fiance, they were like, I don't know who would harm Scott. It doesn't make any sense. He has no enemies. This makes no sense at all. Nobody had a clue. There was somebody else in the parking lot that they thought had some, saw a person. They saw.
Sussy.
They were a witness, and basically they said that they saw a person in I think it was a Mazda or it was like a Mazda or something like that. Little two-door, looked like a little sports car, kind of had like a Corvette looking hood, but it was kind of a rundown car or whatever. And had, they said they had a hat and dark hair and a dark beard. So after they had spoken to the fiance and everybody, like the fifth time they spoke to her, her sister goes, well, you did date, Fred, and it could be, maybe because you're now engaged, he had a beef with Scott. Maybe that was it. And so Crystal, being Crystal, made up this story that Fred, or Temujin, was a crazy ninja guy, had all these, she'd seen him jump out of trees from 40 foot high and not get hurt. And he throws ninja stars and all this thing, like she had seen like right out of a movie, right? So
I mean, Bloodsport just came out.
yes,
right?
exactly.
And
So
there was
she had been like, this guy,
best of the best.
it's got to be him, you know, whatever.
Ninjas are real.
And she hadn't even
she's
talked to
been
him
behind the
forever.
movies
You know,
for
they
so long.
went on a couple dates. She started stalking him. He said, fuck that. And he moved 500 miles away, right?
Best thing you can do.
His girlfriend is now pregnant with their son. She's like 7 months pregnant at this time. You know, obviously he's got this vendetta against this man he's never met.
Clearly.
At one point when they pressed her, she's like, oh, I think they did meet one time. They saw each other across, not even meet. They saw each other across the parking lot and he glared at him. Right.
Yeah. I mean, I can relate to that.
So
gave them that eye.
Kind of relate to
That
that.
eye from
so the police officer, they're like, well, it's got to be this guy. We've got a name. Fuck it. We're going to run with this shit. No evidence, nothing.
Because pressure. Because there has to be pressure on the other side where they were like, where's the guy?
Right.
Where's the guy? Where's the guy? And the more pressure they applied, the more it was like, you know what? It's Temujin.
Right. So
because we gotta make it happen.
Of course. And randomly, he had, and mind you, this is the mid 80s, right? So cell phones really aren't a thing. I mean, if not for people who don't have money. I mean, literally, Temujin and Michelle and their other buddy are renting a farmhouse for $200 a month, outside of the town that they're, you know.
So they don't have a Motorola?
No, it took them, you know, they had barely just gotten an actual landline by the time this all happened. I mean, they were struggling. They were late on rent a lot, all the things. So randomly he gets a call and one of his buddies, calls up and says, hey, this other dude has been murdered and somebody says it was you. And he's like, no. And he goes, even though we weren't, you know, really good friends at this moment, we had been, and I grew up with him. So I made sure, he goes, I left, I went to, you know, my hometown. I went, you know, I called his parents. I was, you know, doing all these things. He goes, not once was I doing anything. No, I had no clue who Scott was. I had no fucking clue who this dude is. So while he's out of town trying to fix this mess because somebody, you know, is talking shit on him and whatever. Granted, this is, you know, he had to hop in his fucking, I don't know, clunker car.
Pussy wagon.
Yeah. And whatever. He's trying to get all this. And you know, Michelle goes, hey, somebody, this is weird. Somebody knocked on our door and asked, you know, if they could hunt on our land, but they they had no shotguns, nothing.
They got no shotguns.
Yeah, they didn't look like they were ready to hunt. I told them, you know, go away, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, well, he goes, I'm going to continue to check on you. But, you know, if they come back, make sure you call the cops. Good. So fast forward, he comes back into town. He has a date with some other girl. And this is kind of how it all worked. Or actually, that's a lie. He's back in that's a lie. I'm remembering things backwards. I'll tell you that in a minute. But you know, so fast forward, he's still out of town trying to figure out what's going on with the other thing. And she gets a knock at their door, or she gets a call on the phone, and they say, we need you to come outside, set the phone down, but you know, just walk outside to our cars. It's the police. And she goes, literally, it's middle of the night. And she goes, can I at least put on my coat? Because mind you, this is Michigan in November and they had 3 feet of snow on the ground.
Clearly. So fucked up.
So literally she's in sweatpants, a sweatshirt and her socks. And they make her walk down this long ass driveway to the police car. The one police officer said, hey, get in the car. I want you to talk to this guy. And they're like, we're here for Fred. Because at that point he was Fred. Right. We're here for Fred. And she's like,
we're here for the ninja.
She goes, do you have a warrant? And they showed her a piece of paper just with his name on it. They were only allowed to come and get him. That's it. And
I suppose, but still, I mean, again, less sophistication in 1986, where like people were like less awake, and you know, to like even police corruption.
Well,
You know,
even
people are-
then she was like, I don't know, but they're like, we're going to go up to the house, and she saw it surrounded by SWAT. And she goes, he's not even here. I don't know what you're talking,
Right.
which they're like, can we come in? And so they
No.
did. And so they finally hung up the phone when they couldn't find him. And he calls, and one of the police officers answers. And he goes, what the fuck are you doing? Don't hurt Michelle, da 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 da. I'm going to, if you don't tell me who you are, I'm going to hang up and I'm going to call the cops. And they're like, we are the cops. We're here for you.
We are the cops, kiddo.
And then he kept going, if you don't, you give Michelle the phone so I know she's okay. I'm calling the cops. And they're like, they finally let her talk to him. They were going through all their shit. They were, dumping everything.
If you let them,
And
of course. Yeah.
they had gone to the local judge, and he said, you can only go arrest him. That's it. You're not going through their things. There's no, evidence for you to, do.
Right.
So finally, yeah.
You just can't do this other thing. Correct.
So where he was, they had found him, or she, sorry. He called, or Crystal, he called Crystal, or Crystal called him. And he was like, what in the actual fuck is going on? Because they were like, they were on the phone before they gave it to Michelle. They're like, you murdered him. You blah, blah, blah. He's like, I don't even know who the fuck you're talking about. And they're like, and they named him. He goes, I don't even know who that is. I've never met him, and how would I know him?
You glared at him once, ninja.
Well, Crystal. And he goes, she's a fucking crazy bitch. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. That bitch stalked me. That's the reason I moved. La da 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 da.
Yeah.
I mean, mind you, it's the Port Huron police going 500 miles away to get him. So they kept him on the phone long enough to get his location, and they went and got him there. The local cops that went in with him, the local cops that went in to get him, were afraid that the SWAT team that was waiting was going to shoot them. And he was all cool. He's like, listen, I know you're doing your job. I will come willingly. I've done nothing.
Right.
They
I'm
were
confident that we can't. You have nothing on me as soon as I have my alibi.
Yeah, I have an alibi. There's nothing, I've done nothing wrong. And they were even cool. And they're like, yeah, we know. We got to do our job. And he's like, no, I get that. They even took him for fast food. Well, when the Port Huron cops got there, they got pissed.
Right.
Why are you treating?
Yeah. This has already been tried in the Rose court.
Yeah, I mean, they hadn't even been able to talk to him yet.
Rose, he was already guilty. The police are already on his way. No, he must be guilty.
I didn't say he was already guilty. I just said, he looked a sus face.
And that's it. And then what we do is we
what does it mean?
Profile people in buckets of like and don't like and sussy. And then
but it doesn't mean he was just because you have a sus face doesn't mean that you're guilty.
Do you think that prior to anything, you say, okay, the guy has a sus face, and then they start giving you evidence? He still has a sussy face. Like, you're already starting from a place of sus. It's not, he doesn't really start from like a baseline of innocent until proven guilty. He's sussy.
He's sussy.
He's sussy, but doesn't mean that he was guilty. He has a sus face.
Sounds like it. Sounds sussy. Kind of sounds like guilty.
Innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah.
Anybody can have
sussy or innocent.
I like both, depending on what story we're doing.
I'll take innocent. If I'm going to court, I'm going to take innocent every single time. I'm never going to pick sussy, because then you start from a place of like, oh, that guy's a creeper, and then the mob, the mob mentality. People start.
Well, now you have. It is innocent until proven guilty, correct?
Supposedly.
That's how it's supposed to be.
Supposedly.
And if you. We're going to get into all that too. There's so much. I'm just trying to get to the. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Get to your part. Yeah.
No. Go. Now this is a good place to. They've got him in custody, and we can put this.
Have you ever had that where when you were a kid, right, and you had somebody say, "Well, no, you know what? She did it. They did it. They're the ones that did it, and they're the ones who actually really did it." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That never goes
I do
away.
that to my sister all the time. If she's listening, she'll tell you. She was okay. She was always usually the one, messing with me and whatever, bullying me. But I got to the point where I knew if I was like, "Mom," they'd automatically blame her. I did it all the time. So
of course, she hit me.
Yeah, exactly.
Like same kind of deal, but grown-ups.
Only, on a much larger scale.
I'm gonna skip the alcohol tonight, and I'm gonna.
You're good. Cheers, everyone. Cheers. I want to know what you guys think right now. Right now, I want to know what everybody in the audience is thinking. You guys think he's innocent, or do you guys think he's guilty?
Guilty or innocent. It happened 400, almost 500 miles away. It's
Yes.
1986. There's
Yep.
no high-speed rail. There's no teleportation device. There's no the Brundlefly thing where there's nothing right from the fly. It would be literally impossible, as Sam said earlier. 9 hours to get to him. 7 hours at the best,
He
maybe.
had a Tesla. He flew there.
Of course, he's a ninja. He's a ninja with the first Tesla, and he flew there. He had the flying ninja Tesla. And
Or no, better yet, he went through a tree and just opened a portal and was on the other side.
it was a closet. It was a closet.
Hold on.
Narnia.
That's not too far off of one of the theories that was floated. We
I
will
was
get there
bringing
in a moment.
I was-
Yes.
I was bringing her to see how crazy this shit is. One of the leading theories, and we'll leave it at this, is that, and we'll just to entice the audience, teleportation.
Yeah.
Teleportation was cited in a court filing.
Yeah.
Rose, teleportation, go.
Timu is all I gotta say.
Fucking
He's-
teleportation.
He did the teleportation because he knew Timu was going to be very big now. So he, this is why his name is the way it is. And he did that so he could make extra money while he was,
So he's time traveling too, huh?
yeah.
He's a Chinese time traveler. He's a Chinese ninja, which is already the Chinese ninja time traveler, throws Chinese stars, and he was peddling the foreshadowing Timu.
I feel
Yeah,
bad for
must
the guy.
be.
Fucking awesome.
I feel bad for the guy because if you're that person, you go and you're like, I didn't do it. You go in with you're like, I'm innocent. I didn't do anything wrong. And you go in, all of a sudden you're locked up, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's like when you're in school and you're like, I didn't do it. You go in, you get detention. You're like,
Yeah.
but I didn't do it. I didn't start the fight. Like, I swear they did it.
On a much larger scale. On a much
Yeah.
larger scale now with lives shattering and children in the balance and shit.
And then back
Did you guys
then we
hear- did
didn't
you
have
hear
cameras.
Correct.
We didn't have cameras like now that we have cameras. We have the Ring. We've got, all these cameras everybody has.
Yeah.
Back then we didn't have that, which
cars.
is,
Mhm.
yeah.
Remember we did
You
the story of the Jodries, and when they got shot, when he got shot, their child clearly on the Katy freeway.
Yep.
I was like, "There's Teslas. Teslas have 8 cameras all the way around. It's much different. It's like we live in a surveillance world. Just because we did it ourselves, like we want cameras. It's not because we're like we always believe the government is always watching us, but we also like buy Teslas and
Right.
have Samsungs and Apples, and we love it. Yet we can't get a good clear fucking photo of a UFO. So, can you guys hear this this video? We
Play
do a
it.
live show. We do a live show here.
No, cannot.
You cannot.
No.
Okay. Allow me a moment.
Doo-doo-doo,
Stop the screen share.
doo-doo-doo.
So, I mean, there's no way this guy did it. And my question is, who else was in the vicinity where, it could have been them? So, was there a better candidate? I guess
I'm sure there was, and we'll kind of get into how things were handled right after in a little bit.
Mhm.
I'll tell you at this point, the police didn't even question Fred or Temujin. They didn't even question him. He asked, "When are you going to interrogate me?"
Right.
I'm
I
wondering-
want to tell.
When
I
was
want
that?
to tell my side. When are you going to interrogate me?
there's no
And
side,
they
sir.
never talked to him.
There's no side, sir. You have no side. I don't know if you think you have a side.
I'm wondering if it was like more, kind of like that story we did, the Nebraska killer, right? Remember that story that we did? I'm wondering if it was actually maybe that other person that didn't like him, said, oh, well, started pointing fingers at him right away. What if
Yeah.
that
Oh,
They,
the chick?
they certainly
It
didn't.
probably could have been.
I'm wondering
Look-
if they had something to do with it.
Look what
I'm
happened.
wondering
I don't like the guy. And then they alerted their friends about, look how sussy he looks. And then you take him to jail.
Mhm.
That's it.
But I'm
That's all
wondering
it
if
takes.
they had something to do with it. I'm wondering if they had what
Who's
if they actually killed the one that didn't like him and Crystal that created
Crystal
the
killed him.
story.
Crystal killed
No,
the
no,
boy.
I'm not saying killed him. I'm saying what if she had something to do with it to pin it on somebody else, to pin it on him. Because you always get that. You always get one person that
If I
tells the
can't have him,
story.
no one can. I'm putting him in jail.
If I can't have you, no one will.
right? Or she just didn't like him for some odd reason. Maybe something happened when they
I
were
wonder why.
in school. Maybe something happened in their past and they didn't like. I mean, how many times have we had friends that they don't like us for one odd reason?
You
just
left me
because
at the prom, and
Yeah.
therefore I'm going to kill your family at 32 or whatever.
Look,
You know?
you never nowadays, after all these stories that we've
It
done,
was then a days.
nothing
It was in
surprises
1986 a days.
yeah, nothing surprises me anymore. After all the shit that we've done, nothing really surprises me. I think that
Well, remember, this is 1986, so this is before most of the things we talk about. Like, this is one of the first.
yeah, but
weird
I'm saying, but it still could happen. I mean,
well, yeah, for sure, but like printing, it's harder today. You said it because there's cameras everywhere and ring cameras. Like people can have an alibi and say I was 450 miles away, and like have 10 cameras that can prove it. Then it was easier because there was no cameras. You know what I mean?
and it was easier to say, oh, that person did it and get away with it and say,
Right.
you know what?
It's just like hearsay. It's called hearsay. It's like
Yeah.
that's what I say, and that's it. And people are like, okay, sounds good. It depends if you're influential, if you have pull in the community, like you deserve more justice. Like anybody should die, so you to satisfy your bloodlust. Like that's fucked up.
Well, it's crazy that the burden of proof was grossly mishandled, and
The worst miscarriage of justice. Like
Yes.
we got to get to it. We
we
right?
do.
My brother
Still can. Oh, there we go.
he's innocent, man. He's innocent.
Dash Deal is a friend of Temujin Kensu's and says he was with Kensu in Escanaba hours after Scott Macklem's murder.
Well, it's going in
Report
and
hero.
out. AC.
87. A jury
It
found
is.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
God. Maybe I shouldn't do it. I'll send it to you guys.
Okay. Put it in. I
I
can.
don't understand. Like I'm hardwired into fucking
You look fine. It's
Fiber
just when
optics.
you play things. I don't know.
my plaything.
No, when you play something.
Oh,
When you play things.
yeah, it's my
Sorry.
plaything.
I should have
Punctuation is everything.
enunciated better.
Yes, plaything. Okay, I'll send it in our chat and you go ahead and play it.
Yeah.
Hey, look at this. We don't have any people. Boo. Nobody wants to talk to us tonight.
No, I
Right.
mean, there are people though. I mean,
Oh, yeah, they're
we
watching.
have 6 people watching.
They're called lurkers, but yeah, they're watching.
Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in, and
We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
see.
So if you're just joining us, we have this man here, Mr. Sussy. His name is Temujin Kensu. His actual name is Fred, but
I am so
he's a
sorry,
ninja.
guys.
He's a ninja. It's all good. So, and if I'm looking at a picture of Scott Macklem, right? And we should probably talk about him after the video and talk about who Scott Macklem was and
Yes.
why it matters so much that he was dead.
Do you got the video, Sam?
Yeah, I'm getting it just a sec.
Okay.
That didn't work.
And this is the joy of being live. You guys get us all.
Yeah, okay.
You guys get us all.
You know how many? I see live streams with 140,000 people watching concurrently, and they suck. We're so much better than them. Like so much more professional. Like just because they have expensive cameers, I think we do a great job.
I do too. I
A
do
phenomenal
too.
job. I really do. I do. If there's like 2 seconds of dead air, those people do like a ton.
I know.
I was like, we're really hard on ourselves. Like
we
we're
are.
really hard.
We
You
are.
know?
But you
All
know
right.
what? We've hit a milestone. We've hit a milestone. We've got we hit our 500 that we set our goal out to hit before our year, and we did it.
We did.
did it.
I am
We
very
did it.
proud of us. Is this not sharing?
It's not sharing now.
Hold
No.
on.
What's the guy's name? Mac. I'm getting the fucking rapper.
Macklem.
Right. I'm getting the Macklemore.
Okay, is
What
it
is it?
sharing now?
There we go. Yes.
Okay.
Hmm.
Let's see if this works. No.
Yes, the man is innocent.
There we go.
Deal is a friend of Temujin Kensu's and says he was with Kensu in Escanaba hours after Scott Macklem's murder in Port Huron. In 1987, a jury found Kensu guilty of the murder of Scott Macklem in Port Huron. But Kensu has always said he was in Rock and Escanaba the entire time. He was later sentenced to life in prison without parole.
God.
And federal judge Denise Page Hood overturned the guilty verdict, citing defense attorney misconduct. But paperwork was not submitted on time, so it reverted back to the original guilty verdict.
I would
Jesus.
go to my grave saying that he is innocent and trying to bring him home. It's time for him to come home to us. So it's been a long time.
Innocent because you saw him.
Yeah, I saw him. I know he was innocent.
Deal is just one of nearly 20 people who traveled
20
2 weeks
people.
ago to
20.
Macomb County for a meetup of people working to free Kensu. Paula Kensu, Temujin's wife,
wow.
says it's encouraging to see so many people.
To have literally podcasters and media come from around the world, it really means a lot to him.
In 2022, Temujin's case was submitted to the Attorney General's Conviction Integrity Unit, which, according to its website, says it investigates claims of innocence to determine whether there is clear and convincing new evidence that the convicted defendant was not the person who committed the offense. The CIU denied Kensu's case, saying there was no sufficient new evidence.
That is insane to me.
Okay, but with all the technology we have now, right? Everything that we have now.
Yeah.
Why can't they put it all, you know what I mean? Like,
because nobody gives a shit. Because it costs money and nobody gives a fucking shit about people who are rotting in jail.
It kind of
Everybody
reminds
just
me
assumes that there's
it kind of reminds me of the Jean Bonnet case.
Yeah.
Where the police and everybody was all together and they were so fucking, they had to put it on somebody. So the parents were it. And they were even talking to the media, and we'll talk a little bit more about that too. But I mean, this reminds me so much of that in that respect, that they just can't admit they're wrong, you know?
And that podcast Two Dissidents that I showed you, the one that you didn't get much of, Rose, that woman that they had on was one of the people that is trying to free him. But those people don't have funding. Those people don't have money. That's why they're constantly raising money to like be able to pay court costs and like show up, and like doing an appeal is fucking expensive.
Isn't there some, I mean, should they give money out all the time? Like, isn't there like a grant? Like, you know what I mean? Like, isn't there some
for guilty people? If you don't like the guy, if you for some reason didn't like the guy, you're the person that would give the grant.
But isn't there like for every attorney that's out there, isn't there something that you could do like pro bono, like, you know what I mean?
Somebody be nice. Yeah, it'd be nice if somebody was nice. Yeah, but like you're gonna take on an entire. So think about what this is, right? You have to go take the case pro bono, free, on your dime. You have to go to Michigan. You have to get paperwork in Michigan and get the case. Then you have to go against the entire court system of and you have to prove each one of them wrong. The judge, the lawyer, the prosecutor, the whole team, the law enforcement. You're calling everyone a liar. You feel me?
If they go through the case,
the dad of the kid that was, I mean, he's a kid. He was 20 years old. He was young.
You know how hard that is? That's so
was
hard.
The mayor of the town of a neighboring town of where he was killed. I mean,
that's why it mattered. If it was whatever kid, if it was you or me, they wouldn't give a fuck.
It wouldn't be this high profile.
It would be like a cold case. But there can't be cold cases when the people are important, because when the people are important, then they deserve more justice. Like, you know, so you gotta serve it to them. But I mean,
if you look at all the evidence that they have, and you go back and you look at everything that was presented, I mean, come on, there's got to be someone that's going to want to just say, I'm going to take this case because I know this guy's innocent.
But I just explained if they redo it, there are people doing it, but like nobody high profile is going to do it. Again, they have to call out everybody. They have to say, like, Michigan police, you're a liar. Judge, you're a liar. You're in on it. They have to prove a conspiracy.
Yeah, but with everything going on now, you know, with everything that's going on in the world nowadays, why wouldn't somebody want to say, you know what? I've looked at it. I've gone through this. You know what I mean? Why can't we? Let's just go ahead and open. Like,
why can't someone do it for free?
Any attorney that's out there, please help this family out.
Please take this case and ruin your reputation.
I mean, no, they have to do a pro bono anyways. There's a lot of attorneys that have to do pro bono so many a year.
That was the lady on the podcast. Yeah,
this would be. You know what? Help if you truly believe this guy is innocent, help this person out.
I agree.
40 years is
it's an outrage.
A lot. You know what I mean?
And we haven't even gotten to why. We haven't even gotten to why. This is an outrage. We're already outraged.
We haven't even gotten there.
And we haven't even gotten to the fucking crazy part. The craziest parts. Let's keep going.
Are yet to come. Do you want to go with the video a little bit more?
You want to do.
It's up to you. Let's just play it a little bit more and see where it goes, and then
informational.
Yeah.
Temujin Kensu is here at the Macomb Correctional Facility in Lenox, just north of Detroit. He's been here for 38 years and will continue to be here for the rest of his life without intervention. I requested an interview with Temujin and did get approved for 30 minutes, but I can't bring my camera, only a notebook and a pen. Temujin tells me he believes his case was mishandled from the beginning, saying the stuff they did to me was evil. In his 1987 trial, Kensu was not allowed to testify on the witness stand, his constitutional right, which is part of the Due Process Clause in the 14th Amendment.
Exactly.
He tells me he took 147 pages of notes ready to defend himself because nobody knows your story as well as you. Scott Macklem was killed here in this parking lot in St. Clair County Community College in Port Huron. While nobody saw the murder happen, someone says they did see a vehicle driving away. A jury member who wants to remain anonymous told me they asked if the jury could be taken here to see if you could actually see someone driving away, but that request was denied.
Of course.
The jury member says there were several questions from.
Okay, let's kind of get into it. I mean, that's kind of going into things we
but
probably want to get into.
That
But
was important to know.
yeah,
That there's just no way. They block so many things. And that's why it's so crazy to take this case. Anybody who doesn't want to fight against like piss in the wind, a guy has to take on, it has to be like a team of people that are like the Avengers of law, and go in there and be like, all of you fuckers are wrong, and you all, it's really hard.
Yeah, Dr. Who, What, Where, Why says the Innocent Project takes on cases like this. I think tends towards death penalty cases, though. Or I think it.
But remember that one of those guys were on Joe Rogan, right? One of those guys went to Joe Rogan, and then they brought one of the inmates that they wrongfully convicted.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 weeks later, after being on the Joe Rogan podcast, he decapitated him.
Yeah.
So
Jesus.
Right. So you have to be careful and vet. And that's why I say, like, every time we say something with absolute conviction, we have to be like, who told you that? How do you know that?
Exactly.
Because you don't know anything about anything. So anybody who's like, for sure, this is like this, and you're like, oh yeah, this guy's not informed, because there's no way you can be informed and also think in absolutes.
Right.
There's no way. There's no way. It's always somebody else's fault.
Well, and honestly, I mean, in everyday cases, I mean, this is I can't say it's the exception. It does happen more often than we care to admit. However, normally due process is done. The investigation is done correctly. All the things. This was,
But they probably tried.
They did not try. I'll tell you.
For a moment, they tried, and they were like, and then they panicked.
Well, and then somebody gave them a name. And they went, oh, exactly. Fuck, let me go with this name.
This might tickle your pickle.
However,
he's a ninja.
So
your pickle.
he's a ninja. Go pick him up.
What was the name of the police officer? I'm failing to remember.
So let's talk here.
I'm trying to
so
look.
the police were alerted to Freeman as a suspect, Crystal Merrill, who was McLemore's fiance and had a prior relationship with Freeman in May and June of that year. He was arrested November 14th, 1986, as we said, and arraigned in Clare County Court. Merrill was the first prosecution witness and testified that Freeman had threatened to kill her and Macklem if she didn't stop seeing Macklem. She alleged that Freeman had raped her, and on their first date, another witness, Philip Joplin, said that Freeman had confessed at the murder while they shared a courtroom holding cell. Joplin further stated that Freeman wasn't worried about the trial because he had constructed the airtight alibi, right?
Right, and that was a whole ass lie. So let's kind of back up on that. I was
looking for I was sure that the cop was going to show up there, but the prosecutor, Robert Cleland, we'll get that guy in the mix.
Yeah,
he's the prosecutor, and
what is this guy?
Looking for the jailhouse informant, correct?
Bounds. His name was Bounds. That's it. Bounds was the police officer. Correct. Now I remember. I have it written down somewhere, actually.
Bounds and Robert Cleland was
John Bounds.
Was a prosecutor. Went on to be a judge.
So let's talk about John Bounds. John Bounds in 1981 had been a part of a sting put on by the police, Port Huron police, or in that area, and was caught in drinking in a bar where there was known gambling and sports betting, and where it was illegal at the time, and being paid off by mob bosses. He was then fired. He was put on leave, unpaid leave. They fired him. He tried to get he tried to get, what do you get when you get fired? The pay.
Severance.
Not severance. From the state.
Fucking welfare.
Yeah, not welfare. It's Jesus
Section
fuck.
8.
Why can I think? No, it's
fucking work, no work money.
Workers'
not worker.
Workers'
Yeah,
comp?
you know what I'm talking. No,
No
sorry.
work
Workers'
cash.
comp?
No, whatever.
No, the other thing.
Unemployment. That's it.
That's
He
it.
tried to file for unemployment. Why the fuck didn't?
Because I've never filed for it.
No, so he tried to get unemployment, and he had he had to do a hearing for that because he had to plead his case. They're like, no, he was grossly negligent and he did wrong. He was accepting bribes.
Gross negligence.
I
Gross
know.
as fuck.
That's my word for this this podcast
gross
because it's just so abhorrent of
egregious.
Everything. Yes, it's very egregious. So he literally gets fired, right? And they don't give him unemployment. He does not win his appeal. They say this dude he makes cops look bad.
Yeah, he's like a bad cop.
So you know what the fuck he does? He hires a fucking lawyer. What was his name?
Man.
He hires no. No, this was a defense lawyer.
The defense lawyer was the one that was.
Yes,
right.
But he so John Bounds, mind you, hires a lawyer who fights for him to get his job back, and he does. Then John Bounds gets this high-profile case, gets a name, and he has to be right because he's going to make sure he looks good now, right?
Right.
So he arrests Temujin. They don't talk to him. Whatever. So Temujin's now looking for a lawyer, right? And he said this one lawyer comes in and he goes, $50,000, blah, blah, blah. You're not going to get out of here unless you pay me all this money. He goes, I barely have $500 to my name, if that. I'm probably in withdrawn on my account. There's no fucking way I can pay you that. So one of the cops, i.e. John Bounds, goes, hey, here's a name of a public defender.
Yeah.
Turns out it's the same goddamn dude that defended him.
Oh my God.
On his case to get hired back.
It's fucking ridiculous, man.
So they bait him and they're like, they feed him this lawyer.
Oh my God.
This lawyer used to be a prosecutor and was fired from that and had to be a public defender because he had a coke problem.
Oh, was it coke?
Crack.
It's
He was a crackhead.
It's kind of coke.
This guy then turns around as Temujin's in jail and goes and robs his home of all of his possessions and sells them for more drugs.
More, of course. What are you going to sell them for?
Even asked Temujin to get him drugs or to tell him where to get them because he's a criminal. He should know. He's like, dude, I don't fucking do drugs. I don't even think you should be my lawyer now. I've never done that. He was always kind of very, health-minded,
Yeah, he was a fucking ninja.
Yeah, he was very much into martial arts.
Yeah.
So
you can't, your body's a temple. You can't fucking cocaine.
So anytime they would get, they didn't talk to him. He's got a lawyer that's already in the fucking prosecutor's pocket and the cop's pocket.
Yeah.
So the night of the murder, the night prior, so on the 4th, he had gone on Temujin had gone on a date. He had some chick that I don't remember her name, but it wasn't Michelle. Probably he was, he was a ladies' man, I guess. He was young, she, his girlfriend who was pregnant at the time allowed it to happen. So whatever.
Nice.
So he takes this girl out on a date. They go to this very nice restaurant that closes fairly early, but then they go to another late night spot. It's cold, it's snowy. They go in and it's, he goes to start his car because she's like, I got to get home because she was younger than he. The car doesn't start. So they go in to warm up. And literally this is like 1:30 in the morning, 500 miles away from where this murder takes place, supposedly at 9 a.m.
Right. And there's so many witnesses that put him there.
Yes. So he gets home late. They get up. And they go into town and he stops by the marshal. Michelle goes with him. At 11 o'clock, he went to the dojo.
Hey.
So mind you, murder takes place at 9. They think he got there at 8. There's no way that he could have gotten there that quickly. It was amidst a snowstorm. Okay. So he then, so there was people, the girl he was on the date with, his buddy who helped him jump his car because his
Right.
battery died in the cold, the people at the one spot that they were at that gave him soup because it was cold and it was at the end of the night, la da da. So those people at all the things, those people at 1:30 in the morning saw him. He goes home, they get up, have breakfast, he and Michelle, she's 7 months pregnant. She's,
Right.
you know, with his son. Then they go into town together. Multiple people see him at the dojo.
Right.
Two of whom were not big fans of his. The owner of the dojo and some other lady, not big fans of his, but all
In other words, like no reason to put him there.
yes,
like,
they're not
even if
his
he's-
besties. You
even if
know,
people are
I
in
do
their
have a
pocket, like,
question.
yes.
sure.
Okay, this woman that is his wife now, was she with him prior to this, or did she marry him when she was in? When he
He's
was
been
in
married
jail?
a couple times in jail.
Yeah. A couple
Okay,
times, yeah.
so
One of his
He's
wives
a
passed
womanizer.
away. Yeah, he very much
He's a
likes
widow.
the ladies,
He's a
and
prison widow.
he and Michelle still talk all on the daily, I believe.
Oh my
He calls her
God.
Shelly. I mean, she is the mother of his child, but she,
Sure, but every day.
corroborates his story to this day.
Of
So
course.
now, question: do you guys, knowing going through, could it possibly?
This is impossible.
It's-
Before you ask that question,
Could
this is
it
impossible.
possibly?
no,
There's no possible.
there
way
is no way he could have been back in town by 11 o'clock or in the morning to see, wake up and have breakfast with his baby's mom.
He would have to
Go
have
on the date and have his car break down. He was in no hurry to even get home that
He
night.
didn't have the DeLorean from
No.
Like you'd have to go 1.21 gigawatts.
Yeah, there's no way.
Possibly be that he had something to do with it.
No.
There just isn't, and that's why I picked the story because I was blown away at the absurdity of it, and then when I looked into it, I was like, "There's no way. How can they do this? How can they?" I wanted to break people's minds with this because, aside from the fact that it's gathering steam and people are kind of talking about this again, like the pure injustice of it is absolutely grotesque.
Hey, Mello.
Hi. What's up, dude?
Hey, Jamie.
It's absolutely grotesque. Like that's why I brought this. I needed other people to see it with me. It's fucking crazy. That guy needs to go free. That guy needs to get $50 million. Okay.
He
And walk
does.
away. He does.
Well,
He does.
it's funny when he first met with the lawyer because his lawyer has to pretend like he's on his side. And he's like, "Oh, you've got $1 million lawsuit here. This is, wrongful, imprisonment, la da da da." And then he keeps coming back with, "I can get you 25 or 25 years." And he's like, "No, I didn't do it. I'm not pleading guilty.
Right. You have to
I'm
plead.
not taking a plea deal."
The plea deal
and then
means
he's
that
like,
I'm guilty.
Yeah.
No
And then
way.
he goes 10 to 15 years. And truly, and then he had said 10 to 15 years with good, good behavior I'm out in a year. I'd be walking free, but couldn't.
If you knew then, if you knew then what he's in for 38 now, he would have been like, "Fuck yeah."
Well, he was like, there's no way I can lose. I know I didn't do it. I think that's what he was thinking.
It was a slam dunk. I would think the same thing. I'd be like, "There's no plea deal I'm taking. I wasn't
Right.
even there. Prove that I was there."
Right.
But I don't think anybody had the wherewithal. You just can't fight. You can't fight a whole county. Like a whole county.
Thumbprints, something. There's gotta be something.
You don't need it. You don't need it. You don't need it.
And
You
this
never
is
needed
so-
it. If the government wants to fucking put you in prison, they will.
Exactly.
There's no way. There's nothing you can do.
We have the mayor, the big player of the father of the deceased.
Mhm.
We have now we have a dirty cop, multiple dirty cops, multiple. We have multiple dirty cops. We now have a prosecutor who's running for attorney general. He wants to be attorney general.
Mhm.
He is he's on a campaign. Sorry, I don't mean to make the thumbs up, but I'm trying to count on my fingers. No, he's making a point. He's making a bid. This is a big case. If he solves this one, maybe they'll vote him in.
They'll get. It's a high profile case.
It's very high profile.
Everything's against him. There's nobody wants him to go free. It's everybody's best interest for him to go away.
They feed him this public defender now that is in their back pocket. Helped the cop get back on the force. It used to be in the prosecution's office, so they've got an in there, and the judge. Also, the prosecutor had something on the judge. They're not sure exactly what it was, but he's now in their pocket.
Yeah.
So
everybody's owned. Everybody's owned, and it's in everyone's best interest for this guy to go away because he's the closest thing you got. If you let this guy go free, we have no other leads, and that's impossible for that to happen because somebody has to pay for this.
So
I like to know what the audience thinks.
Yeah.
What do you guys
Sure.
think? What do you guys think? I'd like to know. Do you guys think he's guilty? Do you guys think he's innocent? I mean, you've heard pretty much a good majority of it. Like, what?
Yeah.
What do you guys think? I'm curious.
I think we have to talk about the actual trial and how absolutely insane.
Yes.
This is a clown court. People will say kangaroo court. This is literally, clown college. Like,
yeah.
It was insane. Things I've never even thought. Like you, Rose. Like, wait, but there has to be somebody that cares. There has to be somebody. No one gives a shit.
They didn't. Yeah.
No one gives a fuck.
Or you know what? Are these people too afraid to go up against these people?
Yeah, exactly. You're going up against a county. Like I said, you have to go against the cops, the judge,
the mayor,
two lawyers, the mayor, and the mayor's son, and take away the mayor's grief, justice. Look at all the things you have to do to prove this man's innocence.
Here's one of the things. Bounds was in the mayor's back pocket as well, and had got to the scene first, and they took away Scott's the deceased duffel bag and cleared the scene of him having any wrongdoing, meaning they think he was doing drugs and things, and that couldn't be on.
Drugs are bad.
Well, I mean, that couldn't be in the report,
right?
They couldn't find drugs in his backpack, so even Temujin has surmised, surmised that maybe had they have gotten the EMT, that they had to clear it, and then they let the EMTs to the kid, and had they have let the EMTs there first,
oh my God,
he could have maybe still been alive.
They
were trying to cover up any wrongdoing of Scott.
Yeah.
So
may I share something?
You may.
This is crazy. Let's do this, and then. Check this out. You're gonna freak out.
Okay.
So witnesses for the defense. Okay. Mm-hmm. Around the time, this is I believe this is Paula Kensu. This is his wife. At the time, or I'm sorry. This was at. So we're clear. This is 2024. This is June. This is his wife now. This is his wife now.
Oh, yeah. The picture just kind of threw me off for a minute. Sorry.
Power couple that is justice impacted by wrongful conviction. Wrongful conviction. Okay, got you, medium. Thank you.
Okay.
Right. So here, around the time of the murder, this is going to illuminate a lot. We should read a bit of this, and you can help me. But around the time of the murder, at least 9 disinterested witnesses were presented at trial that placed Kensu at the Escanaba area of the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, about 450 miles from the crime scene of Port Huron. None of the 9 witnesses were ever discredited or impeached at trial or since. At the specific time of the crime, about 9 a.m., one additional alibi witness actually places him in another 20 miles farther in Rock Perkins, Michigan. That alibi witness was never called to testify and passed 2 polygraph examinations.
That's Shelley.
Okay.
That's Shelley.
Also, since the trial, a 10th alibi witness that was with him into the early morning hours of the murder was known by the prosecution but not revealed to the defense. And it was located by Kensu's investigators. So there was even another one on top of that.
That was probably the chick he was on the date with.
Correct.
Yes.
Witnesses for prosecution. What about the witnesses presented for the prosecution? Well, they either did not identify Kensu or were totally reliable. To begin with, the prosecution likes to suggest that there were 3 witnesses that identified Kensu as being Scott Macklem's killer. That is completely misleading. Though several people in the parking lot heard the shot that took the victim's life, no one actually saw the shot. But the 3 witnesses, quote unquote, offered by the prosecution were Kathy Ballard, Richard Kruger, and Renee Gobin. First, Kathy Ballard did not pick Kensu from the photo or the in-person lineup. So that's really important. I wanted to get to that. Nobody picked him in the lineup.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Okay. So note that Kathy Ballard, again, in 2008, stated that she did not pick up Kensu, the suspect in the crime. So she said that she didn't pick anyone. She admitted it. And then second, Kruger not only did not pick Kensu from the in-person lineup, but also picked James Loxton. More astounding, Kruger was never in the parking lot in question, but actually in a lot farther away near McMorran Arena. And Kruger saw his quote-unquote suspect standing 100 feet away an hour before the murder. So Kruger saw no crime take place, and his alleged suspect, quote-unquote, was likely nothing more than a college student who had every reason to be there. However, a trial under pressure from the prosecutor and without any objection from Kensu's drug-addicted lawyer, Kruger indicated it was Kensu, and he saw it in another parking lot. So there were two witnesses, basically, is what she's saying.
Mm-hmm.
And oh my gosh, well, you want to hold here and comment about that, because we're
It's insane. Yeah.
Here's the thing, too.
The last half hour is going to be fucking crazy.
Right.
So here's the thing. Okay, if I knew that nobody wanted to take my case, right? I'm in here, and I already know I'm in here for life, right? Why didn't he take the bar? You know what I mean? Why didn't he take his own case? Why didn't he do the bar and do it himself and make it? You know what I mean? Why didn't he?
Would you be able to take the bar and pass it and become a lawyer
if you know what, all I'm doing is sitting in a cell. I got nothing else to do.
They actually were horrible to him in jail.
Dude, they fucked him up.
They put him in isolation. They would not. They would.
How many stories haven't we heard that there's a? I mean, at least for me personally, I've heard a lot of stories that are a lot of people that sit in jail. You know what? They get a book and they actually do their own. He was
convicted in December of '87. There's no way he would have been able to do that.
The whole state is against you. Why would they let you be a lawyer?
Again, they put him in isolation in like a cage. Where he couldn't. They would take his blankets. It was Michigan in the winter.
Fuckers.
They would not give he was washing his face, drinking water, and going to the bathroom from the toilet water. That he had to beg them to turn on the toilet so he could flush it when he had to relieve himself. They would take his clothes and say they were going to wash them and not bring them back for a week, so he'd be freezing and all of his bedding. They were horrible to him.
Yeah, I mean,
they also during the time where the witnesses were coming, or they were discovering witnesses. The next account. That was the one who said he had a dark beard, longer hair. Well, at the time,
he didn't look
Temujin
like that.
did not look like that. So they made him. They told him he could not cut his hair or shave his face. Yeah. Little did they know, his beard grew in red instead of dark brown.
Yeah, I mean, everything was wrong.
So there was nothing fit.
It makes me sick. It just made me sick. Like the injustice is so hardcore, and it's movie worthy because of those things. Those are valid questions. Why don't you somebody please look at this and let him go? There's a whole organization that they mentioned. One of the commenters mentioned that does that, and it's super underfunded because nobody wants that. Like you don't want that. You don't want people really what if they make a mistake and put somebody on the street that's
that actually did do it, yeah.
Or maybe that one thing he's exonerated for, but he's actually crazy 100 other times. It's so risky to
I'd
do
like
that.
to see the evidence of everything exactly they have on paper. You know what I mean? I'd like to see the hard copies, not what we see when we read. I'd like to see the hard copies. What made them feel this guy was
actually
a feeling.
They recorded. It's funny. They recorded his conversation with Crystal and brought the police officer, and they never got a transcript, but he did take notes and things. And the police officer was on the stand and citing he admitted it over the phone, all the things. And then Temujin saw that he had notes, and he knew enough to say, "Hey, if he's remembering from notes, we have to be able to see them."
Right.
They looked at the notes, and not once in the notes did it ever say anything about him, incriminating himself. It was more, all of the things. What's her bucket was saying, and
what's her bucket?
I can't remember her name right now. I just said it.
That is
what's her bucket? I never heard that before. Any hoodles?
What's her bucket, and we got Timu. This is great.
At any rate,
Timu.
what was her fucking name? I don't care. Crystal.
I can't believe this. We're gonna go to. Let me see. I'm gonna check out.
But yeah,
Kenzu.com.
none of it said any of it, and then and it was mainly talking about trying to get a coffee order in. I mean, it was insane. I mean, he was trying to make it look like, oh, I'm looking at these notes, and none of it was true.
So, yeah,
he perjured himself on the fucking stand, is what he did.
Exactly. You cannot lie. That's called perjury.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
well,
look,
they didn't get him for perjury.
Of course not. It's not in no one's best interest for then, who the fuck wants to do that? Everybody has to be in on it for justice to happen. There has to be two sides that are,
I feel
debating.
really bad for this guy. I feel bad that he's stuck in there and that
I mean,
and everybody knows it's bullshit.
Imagine
on top of that, people like us are like doing podcasts about how it's bullshit.
Yeah.
How much worse would you feel? You know what I mean?
I feel bad that he's been stuck and 40 years of his life has been taken away from him, wrongfully robbed.
Absolutely.
Of being out. I mean, granted, who cares? He's a womanizer. Who cares? I mean, how many people are
normally you only need one thing to convict somebody. You're like, well, he might be, as I've told you before, like he's innocent, and you're like, well, yeah, but he whatever. He stole something, and you're like, you should die.
This is a big difference. Like this story is a big difference. You know what I mean?
The only thing he had ever been arrested for prior was writing a bad check. So back in the day when checks were a thing, what people would do when they were broke is they would write checks, they'd overdraw their account, they'd pay the $5 overdraft fee and pay it back when they got paid. It was a thing that everybody did.
Yeah, but that's something that I'm pretty sure a lot of.
But then Telecheck came in, and their big thing was, he goes, I swear to God, I'm probably one of the first people they actually prosecuted. Telecheck came in and said, see, and they used his picture and said, see, we prosecute. Right. So they found that he had done that. He's like, and the cop told him that, the cop said, I get it. He goes, I do this all the time. All my friends do. He goes, I know. He goes, you either pay it or you come to jail. So he goes to jail. They release him right away. It's not something they can, and he was on probation for that. And that is the only thing. It wasn't a violent crime. It was just being made an example of, and he was like, yeah. And he admits now, he goes, I've paid it all back. I've paid it back from jail.
Restitution,
yeah, I've paid all the things I was supposed to, and I made sure I take pride in doing that. It's not something I wanted to do, but if we could scam the system back then, we did. We were broke. I don't know. I don't know.
That's why, like, so many different things were going on at once. Like so many different things, and especially like we just talked about was egregious as fuck. Like what I just read, there's 9 people who they said no, you can't talk. There was 2 people who couldn't pick them out of a lineup. Like it's so many things. It's so cartoonishly skewed that you can't believe it.
Well, and then the third had a completely different description of who he was, and then they then they hypnotized him.
Right.
And they led him during the hypnotist. So they were like, so it was this, or didn't you say it was this? What were the numbers? Blah, blah, blah. And that's not admissible. You can't lead somebody in.
This is America.
Hypnotize them, but you're not allowed to lead them into, a thought. And they did. And when they pulled when they did the picture, picking him out of the photos, they didn't have one for Port Huron. They found the one from the bad check case. It was from a completely different county. They looked, I think they said 12 things on that picture that made it very clear that it was not, it wasn't taken in that place. Right.
Correct.
And that is the only reason he picked them. They pointed him to that photo.
Exactly. So it's all those things. It's all those things, Rose. That's why it sucks. It's fucking awful.
It's awful. It sucks.
So,
I mean, and it sucks that this man has been locked up for 40 years and has
not been able to.
I mean, granted, he's been able to see. He's got kids, and maybe they've been able to see him, but
who cares?
He hasn't had that chance. No, but he hasn't had that chance to go to the park, take him to school, like. Us as he's been robbed. He's been robbed
completely.
Yeah. And
but it's more important for a mayor to feel good that someone's in jail because his son's dead.
Yeah.
But is it that
That's it.
or is it that
That's
the
it.
mayor just needed to pinpoint something because he needed
That's what.
something out of it? What if the mayor needed something? You know what I mean? Like there's
Out of
always.
it. What do you mean? The mayor needed to kill his own son?
You've heard there's a lot of stories out there that people do things
You always
for
throw a fucking
Murdaugh.
left field one out there, bro. That's a good one.
Murdaugh. Actually, the Murdaughs. I mean,
I
he
mean,
killed his wife and his kid.
Yeah.
He did for money, I guess. Yeah, I guess.
I mean, you never know. I mean,
you
we
never
we
know.
never
Every
know.
week, you never know.
You never
You
know.
never
You never
know.
know,
But I'm
baby.
just saying.
Okay, so
I
this
mean,
is
I'm just
Dr.
saying.
Before we have this guy up anymore, this is Dr. Todd Grande. I watch his thing all the time, and he has a very soothing voice as a doctor, and he explains things to you. It's phenomenal. Anybody out there should definitely. He's incredibly informative and just relaxing. He doesn't talk like me.
I'm making this video. Temujin Kensu continues to serve.
Do you want to send that to me?
Yeah.
I'm moving to mine now.
Right, because it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Yeah. And then tell me where to go to.
Right at the first peak. Like it's like sorry. God,
Well, I'm trying to see minute 5 or something like that. Just tell me what the minute.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It's 5:12.
Okay.
Yep. So this guy's Dr. Grande is gonna break it down as far as how the absurdity, just add some color, and just to show how other people who are very intelligent and can't understand how you can put something together like this, and it's clear corruption, it's absolute manipulation of the law, and it shows that there's a class system, and people with more power just have more power, and they're able to, execute the law best, and we are left to, suck a lemon. So
yeah. All right. So let's do this.
Now moving to my analysis. Temujin Kensu maintains his innocence and has an extremely large number of supporters. They argue that there is no possible way he could have committed the murder. The state, of course, disagrees. They argue that Temujin had a fair trial and was found guilty.
of course,
He is right where he needs to be. This brings me to the question, was Temujin Kensu guilty of murder? Let's take a look at the evidence both for and against the idea that he was guilty, starting with the inculpatory factors. Temujin Kensu was a convicted criminal and had 2 active arrest warrants before the murder.
Does that change?
He was actually using an alias when he was arrested.
Ooh.
Crystal, the woman he briefly dated, said that Temujin conducted an assault of a sexual nature against her on their first date, but she continued to see him anyway. She also made numerous other claims about Temujin. For example, he had ninja weapons. He claimed to be a high-ranking member of a secret organization that fought prostitution and drug rings.
Ooh, it's like, yeah.
He was able to have people killed on command. Furthermore, he claimed that he had planted listening devices and could read her mind. Crystal claimed that Temujin loved her enough that he would kill another man for her.
I'll kill
The
him.
witness in the college parking lot, Renee.
Okay. I'm
Oh my
sorry.
God, I almost fucking died. So much smoke, so much vape came out of my nose right now. Like when you said,
I wouldn't.
I should kill a man.
Kill a man for.
Kill a man for you, baby. That was like so 1986. Like, you know what I'd do for you? Kill a man.
He had ninja skills and
Yeah.
other things.
You,
He planted listening devices.
who will fight for your right?
Right?
I wonder if he's related to Gypsy Rose.
This is a long line of It's like,
Yeah.
It's like the Rockefeller line of it's like it's an ancient bloodline of idiots and
Oh
fucking
my gosh.
petty criminals.
That's insane. Let's let it go. I'm sorry. I just had to stop for a moment and laugh at
As long as
that.
you want to go, but his analysis is pretty good.
Yeah.
Because it gives you both what they're thinking and the real.
Right. Exactly.
Selected Temujin from a photo lineup as the man who was driving the vehicle away from the murder scene. A jailhouse informant claimed that Temujin confessed to the murder. The state had a theory to explain how Temujin could have committed the murder despite having an alibi. Again, Temujin had witnesses who said that he was 436 miles from the crime scene when the murder took place. The state argued that Temujin must have chartered a private aircraft and left Escanaba after 1:30 a.m. when he was spotted by a witness, committed the murder in Port Huron.
That is laughable too.
It's not a thing. It's not a thing you do in 86. Like, you know how much it cost to fucking charter a plane in 1986? It's like having a cell phone. Like, it's this big and it costs $80,000.
I mean, even to chart a plane from from LA to freaking Florida, it's like 32,000. Like, this guy barely could make he even said he could barely pay his bills. They were
He's a
behind him.
ninja. That shit doesn't pay good.
Well, and the pilot expert that they brought on was the prosecutor's private pilot.
Right. Everything's connected.
Because we're all just standing around. Pilots are standing around in hangars, polishing their planes, and waiting for a fare, like they're a taxi.
Right. Like they're a taxi. Hey, can I give you a ride, mister? Hey, where you going? Downtown? Going to the airport?
It's gonna be only $30. Here you go.
Yeah.
It's. I mean.
It's not a thing,
in the midst of a snowstorm, by the way. I mean, because that's safe. So let's keep going. I'm sorry. That was just
it's good. It's good analysis.
Then flew back to Escanaba, where he was spotted at noon. A pilot testified that private pilots frequently waited around the St. Clair County Airport for customers to show up.
That wasn't open, by the way.
Moving to the exculpatory factors, no physical evidence connected Temujin to the crime, no fingerprints, no DNA, no blood, no gunshot residue. There's no evidence that he ever owned a shotgun, and the murder weapon was never found. Temujin had absolutely no motive to murder Scott. He was living with his girlfriend in a different part of the state and had not seen Crystal for months. There were several witnesses who placed Temujin in Escanaba, Michigan during the time of the murder. At a minimum, this is 6.5 hours away from Port Huron by motor vehicle. 2 witnesses said that he was having car trouble between midnight and 1:30 a.m. on the day of the shooting. His girlfriend, Michelle Woodworth, said that they were home in Rock on the morning of the murder until about 9 a.m. After this, they went to Escanaba. It's worth noting that Michelle was not called by the defense to testify, which left a gap in the alibi. 2 witnesses confirmed Temujin was in Escanaba by noon. 4 witnesses said he was there in the afternoon. Based on the alibi witnesses, there's no way that Temujin could have committed the murder.
I mean, come on.
Even if one were to disregard the statement made by Michelle, because she did not testify, the time range is still challenging for the state. On November 5, 1986, the day of the murder, Temujin Kensu did not have an alibi for 10.5 hours, starting at 1:30 a.m. The murder occurred at about 8:55 a.m. Temujin could have driven to Port Huron and committed the murder, but he never could have made it back in time to be spotted at noon. In order to make that trip, he would have had to drive at about 145 miles per hour, mostly on 2-lane roads.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the snow.
In his bad car.
Yeah.
Right?
He was already having car trouble.
I mean, he's a push it to the limit. I mean, I get to kill a guy, the mayor's son, like vendetta. Like
I don't even. Yeah.
I'm gonna drive 150 miles an hour for a long time to kill one kid and then go to jail. I mean, it's just fucking. You can't say that. It's ridiculous.
Can I just point something out real quick?
Huh?
Can I just point something out real quick? Those cactuses in the back look kind of funny. Just saying.
They are a little.
I didn't even notice them.
Distracting.
I mean, if you kind of really look at it and then just kind of put it in a deeper thought, it kind of looks like something else.
He's great. Dr. Grande is awesome. He's very sober analysis. Very he's a psychologist. And he has this disclaimer. He's like, I am not here to pass any judgment. I'm here to present 2 parts of it, and then I'll give you my analysis, but none of this is I like his style. It's very neutral. He's like Switzerland. He gives it to you straight.
He reminds me of my daughter's neurologist.
Really?
Yeah, he looks very much like him and speaks very much like him. Sorry.
It's soothing.
Yes.
If you're learning something. Yeah. But he has 1.57 million subscribers on YouTube. He's doing something right. He's doing something right.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, do we want to keep going or do we want to?
Yeah, we're good. We can discuss this. Yeah, we're good. We understand.
Yeah.
Now, there's a, kind of where we wrap up and then where we are now, right? As to.
Oh, sorry, the wrong one.
Yeah, because
there we go.
He has to get that nasty sentencing.
Yeah, I mean, again, all of the things. I mean, they don't bring in Shelley. They don't. The expert witness is the private pilot to the
that's not allowed.
Prosecution. They had just literally prior to him testifying or prior to the murder, that guy had taken him on a campaign trail
Coincidences are amazing.
The airport was closed at the time everything happened. I mean, all of the things that they say this is the nail in the coffin don't make any sense. None.
No, nothing makes sense. Nothing makes sense. And
it doesn't.
I don't know how I don't know how a jury would have convicted, but they did. One of the things that I wanted to mention is initially when they would perp walk him, and
that's very powerful.
It's not, if you remember, District Attorney Romo saying that they're not allowed in the courtroom during the actual trial to be seen as a prisoner. They allow them to wear street clothes. They don't want to put that preconceived, we don't want to project them as that because they are technically innocent until proven guilty.
See what I mean, Rose, about like premeditated, because there's a jury of people that can't have a bias.
Right. No, I get it.
If they do put him in these shackles, bro, the guy looks like a fucking.
Oh yeah,
it's all perception.
But just look at the background that he had, and then you have, it makes him look sus. But if you're looking at his other pictures that he has, smiling with his wife,
that could be on purpose though. That's right. That could be on purpose from people that really want him to go to jail. They can be like, yeah, put him in shackles. Like we can legally, we can put him in whatever we want. But perception.
But you also have to remember that's probably what they wanted to do back then. Is perception is making him look that way because knowing
even if he was innocent.
So
but knowing as human beings, as us being human beings, we are very quick to
judge,
look, and judge from the top to the bottom. Like
you're a little quicker than most.
Maybe, just a little bit, but just have it. But I mean, if you sit down and you actually listen to the story, like you have nothing but, I mean, one, it's not that we're laughing at the story. We're laughing at
we're laughing at Michigan.
So this is such a joke that this guy should be free.
Right.
Exactly. It's such a joke.
What they were doing to him when they were letting him go into the courtroom in his street clothes. However, when they would specifically time him getting out of the van from the correctional facility.
Exactly.
When the jurors arrived and he'd still be in his jail attire, they would double shackle and manacle him. The heaviest ones, because they're trying to portray he has superhuman strength. It's like he's a supervillain, right? He's a ninja.
It's also the court of public opinion. So it's like if he's a ninja, he's super strong, he's fast. Of course he can get 450 miles. He's not like us.
Right. They were trying to have.
He's not a fucking Avenger, like a villain. Like
Superman.
He finally said something to the judge, and the judge was like, "Well, we'll let you change into your jeans and your street clothes before you come in." But they still kept him in like double shackled, double.
Everything they could to make him look bad
and they'd still perp walk him when they'd time it. They didn't tell him to not bring him when the jurors were arriving and all the things. I mean, they did everything in their power to make him look guilty.
And
I
now,
know how he did it and became a Marvel. What is it, Marvel or one of those characters?
He's a supervillain. He lives on the side of a mountain. But think about it. That's one area of one state in these United States. Any number of 100 districts at once is possibly doing this.
Oh, there's so many. Oh yeah, no, there's absolutely so many.
That's ridiculous. That you agree with that is that we all agree that yes, that's disturbing as fuck.
Yeah. I mean, I saw a case back in December of a gentleman that he was wrongfully convicted of something, and he actually had nothing to do. He was just happened to be walking and happened to call the cops and said, "I found this,"
Yeah, and then you know what? We really need for somebody to go down, and that makes people not want to find things and go here, cop, right?
But because that makes people not want to call. That makes people not want to call.
I don't want to call the cops if I have to fight a guy with a knife in my house. I don't want to call the cops either to make a 50-50 on my life, just like they did on my friend. Like, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of things are being changed in my world where it's not going to involve law enforcement.
No, and unfortunately, just like in anything, we do have good and bad. We're not saying everybody.
But so far, they're on the street, bro. They personally fucked me over. So
yeah,
good and bad. Show me better ones.
I'm just saying that not everybody in every law enforcement is bad, but there is a bigger hand, in my opinion. I believe there is a bigger hand of maybe more wrong than good. Do you know what I mean? Like,
you think it's moved on to the table has moved to like 55, 45?
Well, yeah, I think it's probably shifted more and more what we see that's coming out.
We don't hear about the good guys because the good guys do their job and that's it. I mean,
well, they don't care.
We only hear. Well, I guess what I'm saying is we don't have. There's no reason for us to discuss something handled by the book, right?
Yeah.
We are not going to discuss any corruption or whatever. So, I mean, I don't think it's, more than not. I think, meaning I don't think there are more bad than good. I just know that we're now hearing more bad than good.
Think about this though. Think about this though. If there are a couple of bad, like Metro, like Las Vegas Metro, they killed Brandon, right? Okay, hear me out. And this place, right, and this Michigan, where they all were in conjunction, they were all in harmony to do one thing,
or the JonBenet
or the JonBenet thing, or anybody they try to pin, right? They do this, and we just agreed that it could happen in any number of districts, right? Like, that's one district in one state and one peninsula, right? Like it's so many of those things. This could happen, and the people who are complicit, the good cops don't say anything. And if the good cops don't say anything, just because they didn't do it, but they know what's happening and they don't say anything, that's also corruption. Because you're supposed to be a good cop that says that, that. So if the Brotherhood, if it leaks out, like the Brotherhood cannot, you don't have to be in it, but just don't talk about it. You're also a bad cop.
Okay, but however, think about it this way, and this is me playing a little bit of devil's advocate to you. So hold on, say there's corruption, and there is. In this respect, say there's that one or two or five cops that go, this is fucking wrong, we shouldn't do this.
Right.
Now, all these corrupt individuals, from the mayor to the prosecution, to the judge, to all of it, go, you are the squeaky wheel and you're not letting us do. Now they lose their livelihoods and they can't support their family.
I love that this is what I wanted. This is what I wanted for you to say that. And that's why nobody says shit, because they're afraid to lose their job.
Well, again,
that doesn't make you a good person.
But then if they take them off of the force, now it's all bad.
Right.
And the next time, if they are not the one called to the thing, I mean, so now this good cop is sitting and can't do anything.
It's a catch-22.
At least they can help the people that they are able to help. You know what I mean?
But you're also like, it's also extortion. Right, think about it. You're being extorted. Like I'm a cop. I know bad things are happening. Right?
Yeah, but if you've got a family of 5 and you have to feed them, and that's all you have, and then they go,
never talk, and just know that there's corruption. And
but
like a person like
Brandon,
that,
or your family's on the, or
somebody's cop's family's eating, but Brandon's dead.
I know, but you got to look at but you got to look.
It is a catch-22.
Yeah, it is a catch, but you got to look at it this way. If you are a family, let's say you have a family of you, your wife, and your kids.
I get it.
And let's say she can't work for whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And you're the bread. But if you know that
back in the 80s, most, there was more stay-at-home. I feel like, women weren't, the men were the breadwinners mainly back then.
Okay. I get the family thing. There's nothing that if you don't say that there's bad stuff, you're also kind of bad. Not as bad, but also kind of bad.
You are complicit.
You're complicit.
Yes,
it's literally.
I agree.
You have to be.
Yeah, but at the same time, I got to look at. I'm going to look at my family.
You're looking at you.
I'm sorry. My family comes first, not me. I'm saying, you know what? I got to feed my kids.
Right.
And you know what? If that includes that, I have to be quiet. Okay, then you know what? I would rather change to a different part.
Oh, that's not gonna, no.
Yeah, it can. You can go ahead and you don't have to be part of that district, and you can change to a different district.
You have to uproot your whole family and do all that because there's corruption, to go to another place where there might be more corruption. You don't even know.
Until I found something better. Until I found something that, you know what? Absolutely. Sure. I mean, you got to look at it this way. You got to look at it's either are you going to
unrealistic? It's easier to just be complicit with it and live and like you said, I'm out for me. I'm just not looking, but I can't say anything. Then keep moving your family around so you find like a decent place with no corruption.
Or be on the streets. I mean, what would you pick? Be on the streets?
No, I'm not saying anything. What I'm saying is all I'm stating is that there are bad cops.
You, if that would happen to you, what would you pick? Would you pick
bad apple always spoils the bunch?
I would have been dumb enough and ideologically enough, like naive in my first police job to actually say like, Captain, that guy is taking a cut of the cocaine money coming out of the South of the city.
I probably would have been too, but
I would have been too, and I would have been a cop for 5 minutes, and then that's it.
You know what?
You know what I'm saying?
I would have been different. I would have gotten all my ducks in a row. I would have gotten all.
You would have been a kingpin right away.
No, I would have gotten all my ducks in a row. I would have gotten all the proof I needed to. and then I would have taken it to the media and said, "Here you go.
Mhm.
Now let the media run with it
Okay.
and figure it." I mean, the part of
You're
what we
telling
do
me
is
you had
social
enemies
media.
before.
I'm just saying social media is a big thing,
I'm talking
right?
about, yeah.
So,
True.
and you know what? If you have all your ducks in a row, you have your proof.
I'm with you, Google.
Anonymously, you send it in
That's my
and go,
pin.
"Here you
That's
go,"
that's
and
my
then let
position.
them run. Here you go,
That's
anonymous. You know, I
at
mean,
least do that.
it's just like the Kingston family. There was that one girl that was sending all those anonymous letters to be free, and she couldn't yet, but she was sending all the information to the right people for her to get free and to get everybody else free.
Agreed. I mean, none of us really know what we would do in that situation. I am always,
Probably,
if
yeah,
it's
would've
not
been-
fair, I'm going to typically
Right.
say something or try to do something about it. However,
Exactly.
you know, we don't know. You know,
It was also,
how
also a
deep did the
different age
corruption
then.
go?
I would have been
Especially,
20 something, and I wouldn't have. But I probably I would think the world is good, and there was
Yeah.
the captain that hired me to put me through the academy and protect my own city. When I go up to them and say, "Hey, listen, some of our own are extorting, blah, 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 right? Whatever they're doing, stealing." You
yeah,
know,
I don't feel like
taking
we're
up
handling this
protection.
correctly.
I don't think.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we should probably get rid of those people. You know, and they'd be like, "Okay, we'll take care of that," and then you
Get
are
fired.
fired. You told me that. That's your position. I agree with you. I agree with you. There should be an anonymous person that does something. But unfortunately, everybody's got this, my family, and that's
I just think
complicit.
now,
They're
with all
complicit.
the technology we have now in this world of age, why nobody takes this case on?
Sweetheart, they investigate themselves.
But
The police
still, there's
investigate
got to be
themselves.
there's got to be one person out there that's willing to do it. Like,
That's
you
my
know, like
that's
the
my
Brockovich,
position. Yes,
like
and
the
the police.
Brockovich, you know, there's
Exactly.
got to be one person out there that's
But you're
willing
asking,
to go for a fight.
you're arguing with me that I'm saying the same thing about the cops, but you say that about a lawyer. You get me? Like the lawyer should be taken on, and he should be take all the heat. But the cop has to be, because he has a family of 5. Why?
No, but I'm saying that, but it's all going to come out. Everything is going to come out once that person opens that door.
So go ahead.
Everything,
So like the cop should open the door.
you know. I mean,
Shouldn't the rest of the country say like, okay, the cops are going to ostracize you because you're going to come forward. We're going to protect you, and we're going to get you a job.
but
That would
you
be
know
the
what?
best
Some
thing.
people, but some people look at it as like, you know what? I'm going to put my kid out on the I have to have this job. This is all I have right now.
So what
I
I'm
have
saying
to
is,
be quiet.
well, don't you agree? Don't you agree that by knowing that, so you know that, right? And other places know that. Wouldn't you step up and say like, hey, officer, come forward, testify against your bad cops. We'll make sure to protect you, and we'll give you a job where we are.
Will they though? Will they?
I would like that. That would be great if people would do that. Nobody has the balls. That's what I'm saying.
But will they
Rose.
though? I
Agree.
mean,
What do you mean?
agree. But will they? I mean, you have.
That's what I'm
there's
asking.
always-
That's what I'm telling you. They will. They won't. They won't do that.
No, because
That
you know
sucks.
what?
They
Even
should.
if they agree, okay, we're going to go ahead and protect you.
Yeah.
They might not. There might be somebody else that's going to rat them out.
Whatever. Yeah, sure. Okay. But like, you know what I'm saying? That's a hypothetical. Like, think about it. If a cop system came and said like, you're hired with us now. You're hired.
Mm-hmm.
You sign papers. You're hired. Go testify. You have a job. Like that would be cool.
Right.
That would be cool.
Yeah,
like that would be a thing that other cops could do to expose other cops, but they won't. That's the thing. That's the problem.
Yeah, but back in the day, it was different. Back in the day,
I'm talking about every day. Today, Brandon, back then, the whole time, they've always been fucking a brotherhood that protect themselves. That's just what it is. Not all of them, but the ones that are into it. And then the ones that don't say shit, I believe, are kind of complicit too.
I believe so too. I'm not saying I don't. I was just, you know.
Right. I get fired up because I'm thinking like it affected me.
Well, I get
like
that.
I never thought it would.
I'm in the same.
Know?
I mean, I'm not as close to it, but
yeah,
I feel as that justice needs to be served on that front as well. I mean,
I had a therapy session today.
Yeah.
I had a therapy session today. Agreed. Like after months later, I was crying my brains out in a Zoom room at work because we attacked like the intrusive thoughts that I had.
Right.
Like, but we just got like when I heard about it before the body cam, and that's like the 2 memories that we worked on. I haven't even gotten to the body cam, like what made me not sleep for 2 weeks.
Right.
It was awesome.
That right there is proof that you know what I mean. That's you have the video. Like there's.
I'm with you.
You know what I mean. That right there. You don't need any other cop to say anything. You have proof in the pudding.
And it still won't happen.
And they're still investigating.
They'll still find a way.
Nothing's happened yet.
And that's what I'm saying. Like that's that's like you just served somebody in a plate and said, "Here you go. Here's the proof.
Yeah.
This is what happened wrong." Like that right there is. I mean, I'd
look what the cops
furious.
did when my
I'd be
when my
furious
friend
right
Steve,
there.
who was on the podcast, Steve was on the podcast. Remember?
Yep.
Him and Rachel, his wife, Brandon's wife, walked into the precinct. They sat down and they all came out in formation in a circle, like an intimidation tactic.
They did.
Like because they knew they fucked up and they knew that.
Oh, big time.
Like, hey, what are you gonna do here? We're here to ask questions. Like, our friend and husband is dead. You killed them. Why? And the chief went down, like, it's super condescending, didn't say shit. Like, yes, we will release the body cam footage. Like, everybody had a meeting. All the cops had a meeting and said, this is what we're not going to, like, it's a conspiracy. Like, it's literally, by definition, a conspiracy is when you and I go, let's talk about this, and this is what's going to happen. Okay, all right, cool. You have a meeting about something. Like, it's a conspiracy to, like, literally everyone say the same thing and hold off. So what I said on YouTube the other day was, like, you know why this is taking so long? They're putting this on ice because the longer this takes and the longer that guy's on vacation getting paid at his house, the mob, like us, the angry people, won't be so angry.
They trickle out, and
they trickle out. The news cycle is over, and then when they say, like, "Oh, Alexander Bookman's guilty," nobody's gonna give a shit, or acquitted. More so, he's like, nothing happened. When there's that outrage of people like, "Oh my god," like OJ. No one will give a shit because it's on ice. Like, everybody lived their life. Like, we have therapy, we move forward, and then nobody remembers. And then he does
story.
It's awful. It's like,
but that
it's popular. It's a popular story.
And it's there, and it made national news. This wasn't like something, that was something, small that you didn't hear. This made national news, and that's, and like I said, my condolences to both of you.
Thank you.
And both of their families, because, from hearing both of you in the story, you seem like an amazing, wonderful man, father.
They did an update, and they said, like, yeah, you're right, Rose. Yeah, he was awesome. But, like, they just gave an update, and that's why we were so fired up, because they did an update, and it came on the news, and I was like, oh my god, like, another traumatizing, like, oh fuck, the Wine River, whatever. And every time I hear that, I just fucking shudder. And they said, like, nothing's happening, and like the lawyer was on there going, what's going on here? Why is this? The fucking guy who killed the Italian kid who killed the fucking healthcare guy.
Yeah, Luigi.
He's already, his shit's up. He did it way after Brandon. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just makes sense to just put it on ice, and then when nothing happens, no one's as pissed. If we would have buried him, like, right after he died, it would be too impactful because we were too pissed. We were too mad about Alexander Bookman.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like, they do it on purpose, and it's they have different tactics for different things when they fuck up or when they do things on purpose. Not all of them, but a lot of them.
Yeah. Well, you're always going to have a handful of good and a handful of bad. It's just, unfortunately, sometimes we get more of the bad. And like Sam said, it's more broadcasted, the bad, than the good. And sometimes the good they don't care if they get recognition.
Well, yeah, but then there's also a gray area. It's not just binary. It's not just one good and bad. No. There's also a middle part of the people who are good, but they know about the bad, but they won't talk about it.
Agreed.
No, because they're worried of
nothing.
They lose.
Because that doesn't matter. There is a gray area of people.
There is a gray area, but a lot of them are worried of what they could lose or what could happen.
And a lot of them are not. They're just like, I don't care. But you can't say that they're all like that.
No, I mean, not everybody's like that.
It's impossible.
No, some people they're like, it's not me, it's not my business.
I don't give a fuck.
Okay,
I don't give a fuck if they have a prostitution ring or they're running kids or whatever the fuck they're doing.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter to me.
It's not affecting my life. I'm over it. Yeah,
but once it's that, somebody should matter. Somebody should care if it's that, though. You know what I mean? Yeah. But if it's drugs, is that okay? Or, then what are we doing?
Everything should be equally, but unfortunately, it's not. It's not. Everything, and unfortunately, there's some cases should be put at a different, higher level and taken a lot more quickly and seriously than others. And unfortunately, it's not like that. And
who decides that? Because there's going to be two sides to every story.
I mean, there are those cases that are more of a high level, like this one, because it was the mayor's kid.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's why.
If it was
when it's the mayor's kid or somebody
Joe Schmo down the road, and it was just a regular community college kid, it probably wouldn't have happened. Yeah.
That's why we have cold cases are just poor cases. Yeah. People who are poor nobody solves them because nobody gives a shit after a while. Like, who cares if they get justice? But a mayor's son, somebody's got to pay. I mean, I didn't know it was like so. A mayor's son was so important, but like there's so many.
Well, in that part of the. Sorry, my dogs keep coming in here.
In my hand.
I apologize, but in that region of the country, that was important at the time. So
right. Exactly, yeah, that was one of the and it's a small place and it's kind of rural. But and they can kind of that too, anywhere, that matters too, Rose. Like how big, like where is it happening? Is it like San Diego, where it's like a lot of people and a lot happening, or is it like I don't know, Mississippi somewhere where it doesn't, where
unfortunately
it's smaller so they can manipulate everything.
Everything should be important when it comes to someone's livelihood and their life. Everything should be important. You know what I mean? But unfortunately, we don't live in that type of society.
It's a lovely statement.
I mean, realistically, everything should be important. When it comes to someone's life and someone gets taken away, everything should. But unfortunately, we live in a society that doesn't. There's things that take more priority than other, and it sucks.
Because
it really
people's
sucks.
lives are more priority than other people.
Or their titles are more important. I mean, it really sucks.
Yeah.
It really sucks. But
they're more important than you.
Yeah, the hierarchy of life. The class system that we have. I mean.
And one of the things is what they've got, like you guys, where you guys, this happened to you, you keep fighting for it until it's actually get recognized as known, and don't stop. Just like this case, the wife is keep going, and this guy's like, look, I'm innocent. I'm gonna keep fighting until my innocence is proven.
It's either that or give up,
and
I mean,
stop talking. Like I couldn't imagine that. Just stop talking behind bars. Like, you know what? It doesn't matter anymore. Like after years 30, I'd be like, you know what? Nobody's coming to save me, dude. Like nobody's coming. Like it's clearly out in the open. Anybody can see this case. Any podcaster can talk about it, and they do. And still
one person,
I just don't know how when because it got, what's maddening is it did get overturned, but because something came in late, another whatever, they're like, sorry, and then they're like, oh, no new evidence. Well. Yes, it's actually, all the evidence was there. You just didn't fucking hear it before,
right. Because nobody wants to. Like exactly. That would muddy the waters. We already have our
Then we look bad.
Right.
We're going to have to pay you money because you've been in jail or in prison for 40 years.
You'd bankrupt the fucking county.
Yeah.
That matters too. The longer he's in there, that's also a catch-22. The longer he's in there, the bigger the settlement, the more compensation. That place is not a very rich place. I don't know. Maybe
it doesn't seem like it. No.
It doesn't seem like it. Like there's a lot of old money there or whatever. Like if there was, they probably would have saved them.
Right.
But what the fuck is going on, Michigan?
Right.
You remember the Halloween show that we did? And we talked about the girl that got murdered at the Halloween. She got sequestered at the Halloween party. Michigan. It was also this. They found her. They found him in the Michigan DNA database because he had stolen a backpack. And the only reason that they found him was through the Michigan DNA database.
Right.
Like it's still a weird fucking state.
It is. I mean, there's lots of things there,
and nothing, and also nothing.
Yes. Lots of injustice, it seems, for a lot of things. You know,
everybody's probably the smaller it is, the more hands you can have. The guy who runs it can run it better because he's got his eye on everybody. A lot of city slickers come and they're gonna city slickify my parish. Then you can't control it anymore.
Right.
I just hope, and I hope that somebody actually listens to this and listens to somebody else's podcast, or anybody with this story, and
multiple
actually takes it and actually frees this guy. And I'd love to see a positive outlook on this story.
I would love that.
It seems like he's open to. I mean, Temujin is open to talking to people. The podcast that I watched. It was a guy from Australia who ended up calling him in jail and setting up time, and he made it to where it was a media thing where they didn't have to talk over, the regular phones. It would be kind of cool if we could, try to reach out. Maybe he would.
Yeah.
Hey, bro, you want a telegram or you want a telegram?
Call? We probably couldn't get his face, but we could probably get his voice.
Or even the wife would be great.
Yeah, I mean.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
Honestly,
is she on TikTok?
I'm not sure.
Wives. I want to check his wives really quick.
So, and we have hit our 2-hour mark. So,
hard cut off.
Oh my gosh, I apologize. During all of that, my dogs decided that they could push their way into here and
they wanted to be on your podcast.
They needed all the pets.
They wanted to be on your podcast. They wanted attention. They're like,
sure you saw Jules's head.
They want to be part of it. They're like, look, we think this guy is free too. They're coming in here to see,
Boys.
They're like, oh, they're like, we know this guy's free. We
can't get Vincent in here, but yeah,
we're real. But yeah, I mean, so how many wives did you have? You had like a couple wives. One died.
One passed, and he's with one now. I don't know exactly how many, but he had talked about, and he still talks to Shelly. Yeah,
Shelly.
He calls her Shelly.
Right.
Hold on, just a second.
Sorry, this is to me is the tea of it. we got to get the tea of the wives. So what's his personal life? Here it is. While in prison, let's wait for her to come back. Oh man, he's a womanizer, even in prison, guys. Even in prison. While in prison, Kensu began a correspondence with Denise Derringer, whom he had met first in 1979. They married in January of 2001. That's a long fucking time, and she took the name Amiko Kensu. Because she's also a ninja, right?
Yeah, she's the one who passed.
Yeah, she performed seppuku. I've disowned it. So, she died of ovarian cancer. I'm sorry. In November of 2012, God rest her soul. And on November 4th, 2022, Kensu married Paula Nae Randolph. Nae.
So he's only been married twice.
But so one died. What about? Well, he was a storied womanizer back in.
Right, and again, Shelly has stuck by his side this whole time. I mean,
doing articles. We read part of her article.
She goes, I wish they would have called me as a witness. Yeah. I can absolutely verify he was with me. And she's taken 2 polygraph tests and passed them with flying colors. And from the prosecution, so it wasn't her. They didn't have somebody independently come in that was on their side. It was the prosecuting side's, polygrapher, and I don't know. I don't know why. I mean, I do know why they didn't want her there.
And, how about that one, Rose? The people, the other side, the prosecution sent 2 polygraphs to Michelle, and she passed both of them. The other people,
and they were like, nope,
and they passed it, and like, no, sorry, can't do that.
We're not going to even have her on the stand.
I didn't think I was going to be so pissed. I was going to be more laughing, but I'm mad.
Honestly, I could see that you would get that way. I mean,
the wrongful shit kills me, and the fact I'm with Rose. Like, it's so ridiculous that it should be overturned immediately. Like, somebody please swoop in, but unfortunately, it takes like an army of people to take on an army of people.
And one would think when they were choosing a jury, I mean, they had both sides of it. The defender and the public defender and the prosecutor were in cahoots. So they skewed the jury. One would think they would skew the jury to, to vote their way,
So many cahoots. So much cahoots.
I'd love to hear what District Attorney
Romo says.
Romos would say. I really would. I would love to get her opinion on the story. I really would love to get her opinion.
Just get her on the phone. She's like, what are they, fucking stupid?
Exactly. She get a couple drinks in and be like, oh my fucking God.
Fucking God.
But I would love to get her opinion on this. I would love to see what she would think of this and maybe shine some light that maybe we're not seeing, because we're not in that film. So there's something there that we're not seeing. I'd love to see if maybe there's something that she sees that we're not seeing.
I'm an idiot. I would love to. Yeah, I'm sure there's things that I'm seeing here.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, everything is black and white for us right here. And we're like going, no, this guy is free. But maybe there's something behind the scenes that they see that we don't. Maybe I mean I don't know. I'd love to get her opinion. I'd love to know what her thoughts are.
Yeah, but there is the initial podcast that I sent over it's called Due Dissidence. Some guys were in the like ex-Democrats were like in the middle and more like to the right, but they're really fair. They both sides get it, and this happens to be just like what, we're gonna have some fun, get away from the politics for a moment, and talk about this ridiculous story. So they brought on one of the people who did take. So people did take on the case. It just takes fucking forever. Like all those people in Michigan are probably just throwing mud and stopping the whole process. Like, why would they want it to go? You know?
Come on. Can we get Eminem or something? I don't know. Somebody from Michigan to just
Yo,
throw money out there and be like, okay, here you go. Come on.
I don't think it's about you would need like Elon Musk amount levels of money to like just be like, fuck you, just like buy a county and be like, you know, like it's hard to explain. There's so many people that want it to happen. And then other people want to still do business. Like, so they don't, once you do that, you blow up a whole place and like all the contacts, and then like people don't make money from each other, and states have issues. Like, it's such a problem, you know? And then so many people have to say like, I was wrong. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
They'll never say that.
No.
They'd rather die.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
the podcast you sent out is great. I also, the one I watched was 1 Minute Remaining. It's an Australian guy, Jack Lawrence, who speaks with inmates like Temujin, and he spoke with him on that, and he kind of just basically goes through the story and lets them tell, and it was mainly for wrongfully accused folks like Temujin. So that one was pretty interesting as well.
And just remember, I talked about it earlier. The Joe Rogan podcast had people who from that Innocence Project. There's a whole group of people Rose called the Innocence Project, and they do that. Wrongfully convicted people, they take on their case, exactly what you want. Those people got a guy out, and they went to the Rogan podcast, and then 2 weeks later, he fucking decapitated somebody. So you're running the risk of being wrong about it too, and that's a huge fucking risk that people are like. And that guy's never going to work again. That lawyer who did that, like, he's got to be disbarred.
That's what I'm saying. I'd love to see what, District Attorney Ramos would say, because maybe, like I said, maybe there's something there we're not seeing. We're like, no, this guy's innocent because of what we have, the information that we have. But maybe there's something there that could shine some light on why we're at where we're at.
All we do is provide the evidence, and 450 miles is hard terrain to cover. So,
look,
well,
he was Batman. He was Superman. He flew there. Okay,
he's a fucking ninja.
What I liked anytime I heard, or when I was hearing Temujin speak about the whole thing, anytime he said something, he goes, "No, this is actually documented in court documents. This is documented. I'm not talking out of turn. I'm not going to say something that I can't back up and give receipts." Which
he is learned. He's not a lawyer, but he knows how to talk in court.
Oh, he's very, and he's like, if I'm going to say something to you, this is going to be documented, and you can prove it.
Exactly. Because he's been fucked over constantly.
Exactly.
Since 86. Yep.
I can't come at you with some, with hearsay. I'm going to come at you with evidence, and here's what it is, and you can look this up. It is, you can find it. It's public record now. All the things. So I enjoyed that, his candidness and his, again, backing things up with, actual
facts. And
evidence.
He wants to be. He wants it to be on the record, because just guilty people don't do that. Just like you say, Rose, guilty people don't do that.
No.
Yeah.
But I agree.
But maybe there's something. Maybe he's a ghost.
Maybe there's something there. I mean, I don't know. He's a time traveler.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, at this point, I heard so much.
Maybe
he's an alien. Maybe he's an alien.
What made me fucking go, are you fucking kidding me, is when they actually threw teleportation out as a viable option.
In court, teleportation. First,
in court.
There's no precedent for that, because no one's ever done that. Right? Court precedent.
He was an alien. He has this. He's from Star Trek. He's got a little. He's got a little.
Yeah, beat me up, Scotty.
Yeah.
Right.
Is he going ahead? He's a fucking.
He's got a Star Trek, and he's he's got what is it, like this or something? He's like,
live long and prosper.
Yeah.
Sure. Let's throw out everything we know about Star Trek and piss off every Star Trek fan. Like, no, it's like this, dude.
Don't come for us, please. Don't come for me, please. I'm just trying to take my shot here.
Seriously, man. Come on, man. Just give us a fucking break. This is a hard job, dude. It's a hard job. Please donate.
No.
Cheers.
Send it to a friend. Follow and subscribe.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah. All right. Well. Oh shit! It's not. Oh, it's the 15.
Yep.
Oh my god, we're 15
please,
minutes
guys,
over.
Please
technically we're not. We started 10 minutes late, so we're only 5 minutes.
Oh, that's
over.
true. We have. Let's keep talking shit.
Please, everyone, follow, subscribe. Our goal is to hit the next 500 by the end of
this month.
October. Oh,
Because we'll be dead. We'll be dead by the time we get 5,000 subscribers.
And we promise we'll be back next Friday with another story for you guys.
Yes.
And get back to our Monday nights too on our regular. Just give us
promise
a little
not.
bit. We have a little bit going on our personal lives. We're extremely busy, and we promise we'll do Fridays. Mondays are coming back, not just yet. We've got a couple things to kind of in the works, but we're getting there. And
we are getting there. Yeah.
Be patient with us. Be patient with us, and please
We'll
don't kill us on that.
You all the true crime you want. We're gonna feed you all. I know you're hungry babies that want true crime. You know,
Right.
we have to feed you, like little mama birds that feed you.
It's amazing how many people go, "Oh, you do a true crime? I totally want to listen to that." You know, what are what's up on the docket? What are we going to talk about? You know, and honestly, anyone, if you have a suggestion, if there's a story that you found that you think, "Oh, this would be great," would love to see, Roses Are Red podcast talk about it. See what each of their takes are. Let us know. Shoot us an email, DM, or whatever it may be. Let us know, and we'll try to get to it as well if it's something new,
and if you want to be
old.
a guest, be a guest. You can send us a message, Sam, AC, or me, and we'll get to it. And we can be one of our guests if there's a story that you've been following and you want us to put it up. We'd be more than happy to have that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
As long as it's interesting and there's something to follow. Some stories are short, and we're like, can we make 2 hours out of this? And
right, and sometimes on those shorter ones, we once we get back to our headlight shows, we can maybe touch on a shorter topic like that. But definitely shoot it our way. We do like, I don't know, it doesn't matter. It is nice when things have an end, kind of like this doesn't, because he's still trying to get out. However, the case happened, he's in jail, now we're fighting it. There are places to go. But even if it's ongoing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it could be cold. It could be cold, as long as it's interesting.
And once we get our Mondays back, I promise you I've got a lot of updates on AC's favorite Gypsy Rose.
I got my Mondays back.
They're back since football is no longer here again. Thank you.
I didn't watch football for the rest of the season.
I've got my husband back now. Football's over.
Nice.
No, granted,
I'm just happy that
I thought.
Yeah, I'm happy the Chiefs lost. I didn't know who was in the Super Bowl until that weekend.
Yeah, I honestly 100%, and I betted on this, and I lost my ass off. Just to let everybody know.
You bet on the Kansas City Chiefs?
I thought because of the whole Taylor Swift, this is going to be his retirement, and he was going to propose, he was going to win, blah 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 blah.
Where did you hear that from?
And
you got the Gypsy Rose channel.
They just went to me right from behind. They just went, you know what? Let me just take it from to you.
I was very happy. Now we're talking football, but I was so happy with the blowout that the Super Bowl was, because Kansas City did not look good all season. They eked it out, and it was.
That's why I thought they were going to win.
No,
because they were shitty. I thought that this is the whole, I was like, this is all.
Here's what happened. The Eagles had their number and sacked Mahomes quite a bit in the and once you rattle a quarterback, you're fucked. So, for real, you rattle that quarterback, and
my mentality was more, this is all bought out. This is all because of money, publicity, blah 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 blah.
I like how you buy into conspiracies, like hook, line, and sinker, but other ones are like, no way,
no way,
no way. And you know what? I should just
scripted. It's like WWE.
You know what? I'm just gonna call YouTube before I place that bet. And
there's a guy there's a writer who actually exposed this. Like everything's bullshit. Like it's like WWE. It really is. It's all scripted. They can't script it by pass. Like if he throws a bad pass, he throws a bad. But like it's generally this is supposed to happen. And it's true. I don't know if it's to the extent of like Real Housewives where like the marriage proposal is the thing, because it's ultimately guys. I don't give a fuck. So like, but yeah, there is definitely
an
like
element.
That's what I thought, because I honestly thought I wanted the Eagles to win, because I was like, fuck, I really want them to win.
Because fuck Kansas City.
But I thought because this was his big, the money talks, right?
But nobody likes it.
No, money talks. I thought, you know what, he's going to retire. He's going to retire, and he's going to propose to her there, and this is going to be his last game, and he wins. This is what I thought. This is how my theory was going.
So I think that they win. I think the NFL wins here because the NFL fan is going to watch it, and then you, the girl, is just vested into like, is she going to get married? So they got double the eyeballs. So it's
it
like,
is nice.
I was invested with the dollar change. Okay, I was invested with the money
But
signs, but it didn't go my way.
Most
I got
girls
screwed.
are like, oh, Taylor Swift's going to get married, so they got at least a couple million more eyes on it. They win. They win.
But now looking at it, I'm going, these fuckers played it. So next year they're gonna go back
There
and
you
maybe
go.
they're gonna win.
Move the goalpost, literally.
Yeah. You know what? Let's get more monies.
Fucking
And
crazy.
then you
I
have
need some
And then
new
what?
people in the fucking Super
Fuck
Bowl.
yeah.
I'm over
That's
it.
horrible.
and then you got dumbass me over here betting on the wrong fucking
But
teams.
nobody
I'm like,
wants the Patriots again. Nobody wants
Oh,
20
no,
years of the same team again.
Well, no, right. That's what I'm saying. I do not want Casey in it ever again.
Never
Not
again.
ever
Or the
again.
Pat
But
Steelers.
Mahomes'
I
face
don't
and
want-
his voice make me sick.
I
I don't
know.
want the Steelers to win.
Kermit the
again. I
Frog,
want the-
motherfucker.
Yep. Well, I did pretty good. I went and threw the ball.
What's crappy is Nebraska's quarterback Raiola has the same fucking haircut as Mahomes, and he throws the sidearm like, I mean, he's a good kid and he's doing well, but
Yeah.
ish. I mean,
But get a life. Like, get your own life.
but yeah, make your own way. Now he is a kid. He's like 19 or probably.
He's
Yeah.
got time to grow into
Dave's
a
shitty,
baby.
shitty,
Right?
shitty man.
Huh?
Dave's an Eagle fan, right?
Oh no,
No,
Dave is a
he's
Jaguar
Jaguars.
fan.
Oh, why do I keep thinking he's an Eagle?
Because you never
Why?
watched NFL HQ.
Right, Anthony
I
from
did,
Anthony.
but for a long time, I always think he all the time, like
That's
my head
okay.
was like, what fan? I'm like,
That's okay. When I first met Dave, I thought he was a Panthers fan because they're both
Oh, because there was meow meows.
yeah,
Yep.
and
Mhm.
almost the same colors.
Yes.
I was even telling my husband, I'm like, oh, Dave's got to be really fucking
That
happy
year,
right
the
now.
Panthers were in close to the Super Bowl or whatever, and I was like, "Hey, at least your team." And he's like, "That's not my team."
It's
I'm
not my
like,
fucking
"Oh,
team.
fuck, I
Thanks for
fucked
paying
that up."
attention. We fucking hate that. If you
I'm
don't, if you don't remember our fucking team, like, dude, you had one job to remember my fucking team. You don't love me.
It was literally we had been together weeks, and I was like, "Oh, blah blah blah, your team," and I was like, "He's like, that's not my team, but good try." I'm like, "Okay, I'll get
Well, I
better."
was even telling my husband, I'm like, no, he's an Eagles fan. He must be really fucking ecstatic right now.
Jaguar,
And then-
Jaguar.
And you know what? It's because I keep thinking of the damn green. It's
Well,
the green that
I told
that's-
Dave I dyed my hair Jaguars colors.
Which, by the way, I love it. I think
Thanks.
it's so fucking sexy. So I love
see
it.
you have not mentioned it at all. I feel a little pissed. No, I'm just joking.
My feelings are hurt, AC.
I'm sorry, love.
Well, you're supposed to notice these things.
Well,
By the way,
sorry.
No, you're fine.
I noticed that you cut your beard, AC. It's a lot shorter.
I haven't had this
Actually-
since I started with the company that I will not name.
So I know. See, I pay attention. I'm watching.
I'll give you a
I'm watching.
hint. I'll give you a hint out there, people who don't know the company I work for. It's 175 years. It's closer to the Civil War than it is now.
It has to
It's
do with
insane.
Jurassic Park.
That is, welcome to Jurassic Park.
He's
The
out there.
main
he's out
company
there
that I
looking-
offer is 120 something years. So yeah, I
see what I'm
get
saying?
it.
Like, so if you guys know about anything about the old companies, you know what kind of business we're in. Or if you look at any other episode and we mention it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We might have.
okay.
That's fine.
Yeah,
Definitely.
somewhere on there. We'll-
All right, everybody.
Well, with
Well,
that note,
Yeah.
thank you so much, everybody, for listening, watching, and hanging out with us. And if you have anybody that is interested, share the podcast with them.
hell yeah.
Yeah.
We'd love to engage and make sure you guys leave notes or not notes, comments.
I mean, we take the notes too, but with a grain of salt.
Slide it under the door. I'll read them.
Yeah. No, and what I love about what we do here is, we can take a subject that is pretty heavy. We can seriously talk about it, but we can also make light and make it not so heavy. And we all have our own opinions, and it's great. I've loved watching the evolution of Rose over this
No, it's
last
been-
year.
it's
The
literally like a
evolution of
flower.
Rose. Yes.
I know. I was going back from
bloom.
when we first started, me and you, Sam, when
Yeah.
we first started, we were kind of going up and down. Then we got into some deep conversations. I'm like,
Yeah.
maybe we should have not said that. Maybe we should have not gone there. But you know what?
Whatever.
It was fun. Our experience is fun, and a lot of
But how is it now?
You know what? Bringing AC on board was awesome because it really all three of us
Rounded
different
it out, yeah.
opinions. Yeah, because you have Cherry
You can-
Popper.
Thank you.
I'm Switzerland.
Buster Cherry. I prefer Buster Cherry is my
Actually-
statement.
I've become more like AC over this last year in playing devil's advocate, you know.
Yes.
Even when I don't make it to the show,
I know. I'm like, hold on, let me
like the
play
meme,
AC
like-
for a moment.
And if we're lucky and we are blessed, we also have Sam's husband, Dave, come on and
Yes.
join
If
us
we-
when one
only
of
if
us
we are
is not
blessed.
available.
Yes.
Yes, only we're, when one of us can't make it, definitely join in. Dave is also
Ordained by
a
God.
He makes
good-
more dick jokes than we do, but that's and actually that helps.
Like, he has awesome dick jokes, and his analysis is fucking spot on. And he's just,
Yeah.
he's a fantastic person.
He is.
And
yeah,
I
it's
love
amazing.
him.
Me
And
too.
you know what? If
But like
you
sexually,
don't
I love him
catch him on,
sexually.
You guys have a little bromance going on, I guess.
No, I love it. No, fuck.
and if you if you don't catch him on here, you can catch him on where, Sam? Where can we catch him?
Where?
Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. Central Time. How was your day? By the Married Couple Podcast.
Boom.
Which is a fucking amazing podcast. So
We've had some fun
go
lately.
join them.
Yes. Hopefully next show we'll have Anthony on again. He was supposed to come on right after the Super Bowl, but it snowed the first time in Omaha this season, and we got like 3 to 5 inches. I think it was like 5 inches of snow, and it's been bitter cold, and then he got sick. So
you know what? I'd love to have Anthony on.
Right.
Yeah,
we're
gonna
going to have
him.
Anthony on. Maybe he can do like he's from Philly, right?
Yeah, he is.
Maybe we could do like a Philadelphia story or something,
Yeah, we could do that.
I'd
We
love
could
to have him
see if
on.
he'll join us on a Friday night.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd
I'd
be
love
great.
to have him on.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
He's great. I think these
So
people would love him.
He's got a great perspective. I mean, that man, he's so profound most of the time.
In a bigger voice than mine, which is hard.
And he's fucking funny too. So
He's hot. No, I mean, we weren't going too far as always.
With that note, we love y'all. Thank
we
you for
do.
coming and joining us on another Friday night. We'll see you next Friday night. Join us 7 p.m. and
Fucking
9.
be there or be square.
9 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. 10 p.m. Eastern, and wherever it is in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, and wherever you listen to podcasts, you can download.
Yeah.
Yes. Good night, everyone, and peace out.
Bye.
Stay dry.
Thank you.